accused of committing the crime while on duty. Webster resigned from his position at the police department after a grand jury issued an indictment in November of 2023. The case against Webster was brought by U.S. Attorney Prim Escalona. A judge has determined that a Morgan County man is capable and competent enough to stand trial for murder. Joshua Knighton is facing homicide charges for a shooting that killed 2 people back in 2023 and injured another. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. At PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program on a stormy Monday here in Montgomery, Alabama. I think during the show here, we're going to get the thick of it. Definitely. So I'm glad to be inside for this. In studio with me, we have Eddie Bader and Byron Sheehy. Adjust your camera, Eddie.
There we go.
How you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Life's good.
Yeah, life's pretty good right this second.
Did you see the news last night that a 3-judge panel said you can't do the tariff stuff?
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
Started my morning off splendidly.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Foul mood from
Yeah.
the jump.
I thought we elected this guy to be El Presidente.
Yeah, but the presidents that we like,
Right.
they're not allowed to do things for the people.
That's what I've kind of noticed.
Right. And then like Elon Musk, he's officially left government. And everybody, all these Republicans are saying, thank you, Elon. And Elon's got tiger. I think John Kennedy said Elon's got tiger blood or something in him. He's a bowler. I'm like, okay, Senator Kennedy. And yet, have they passed any Doge cuts?
Nope. You think they're gonna?
Probably not. I hope so
too, but I think it'll be forgotten.
I think the Senate's going to hold their feet to the fire.
I hope somebody.
I think they're going to find that trillion that they need to cut from the federal spending side.
No, and it just, to me, this is at a point of what good are elections?
Exactly.
Other than to convince the people they actually do have some buy-in, that the people do have some say, some stake in the outcome of what happens.
One day.
It's just fake.
Yeah.
It makes me
so
fake. Mad, man.
Yeah.
Like, I get mad at myself for believing that there might be, change coming down the road.
Right.
Like we might get a little bit of our say-so as voters back.
By the way, we do have
Open
a candidate. He's announced just today, I believe, for State Auditor Josh Pendergrass from the Prattville area. He'll be joining us over the stream here in about 20 minutes. But yeah, the elections are so fake. So fake. Like, y'all just going to do what you're going to do anyway.
Yep.
Like, we elect you to Congress, and then you have to go play this game with the seniority system and the committee system. That's not very democratic. Like, who gets to make all those decisions behind the scenes? Within the party and within the Congress.
The club that we ain't in.
How does somebody become a judge? Like on the International Trade Court?
Who appointed those people?
Oh, one of them was appointed by
Donnie
Trump.
Boy.
Really?
Yeah.
One was Obama, one was Reagan, one was Donnie.
Yeah. So the
disappointed.
court grants permanent injunction on all Liberation Day tariffs. Court halts 30% tariffs on China, 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and 10% universal tariffs on everyone else while they're in the middle of negotiation. So that's really wise. Goldman Sachs saying we expect Trump to impose tariffs by alternate method after the court ruling.
There's no doubt.
And of course, the Trump administration has already appealed the ruling. And here's a little taste of that filing saying foreign countries' non-reciprocal treatment of the United States has fueled America's historic and persistent trade deficits. These deficits have created a national emergency that has decimated American communities, left our workers behind, and weakened our defense industrial base. Facts that the court did not dispute. It is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency. President Trump pledged to put America first, and the administration is committed to using every lever of executive power to address this crisis and restore American greatness. Now, we do have a government that, has different areas that competes with one another. But at this point, when I look at the oligarchy that run things, and I don't just mean like rich people we don't like. I mean, this institutionalized class of folks, a few million folks that run the courts, that run the bureaucracy. Some of them are in Congress. Some of them are in media. A lot of them are at Harvard. If they were getting us good results, just tell me if somebody's coming in to take me out. You keep peeking over there, and I'm like, what's behind me?
I might not say nothing, but you'll see the signs.
Goodness gracious. But if these folks, if this ruling elite was actually getting good results, we might not have much to say. And honestly, at this point, I don't care. I don't care if it's a monarchy. I don't care if it's an oligarchy. I don't care if it's democracy, whatever the hell that even means these days. It's one of George Orwell's meaningless words. Everybody's a democracy. North Korea, for God's sake, is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Yes. Yes, they are.
It doesn't mean a thing.
In name only.
Well, except for a few libs who it's their faith.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's like they believe this. They don't have a good reason to believe, but they deeply believe these things. But then it's like, well, if you deeply believe these things, why is the system that you constantly defend have nothing to do with these platitudes and ideals you constantly espouse?
Well, they feel it should be that way.
And by the way, I mean that to like all you constitutional conservatives. We really would believe in the Constitution. Do we?
No.
Or do we just pick and choose when the Constitution will be enforced?
We pick and choose, 100% pick and choose.
To justify what we're going to do already.
Yep.
In the system that was already in place because it happens to be the most practically effective for the given moment. I just want good results. I do want these ideals protected. I want free markets. I want individual liberty. I want people to be able to create wealth as they see fit to rise and fall, as they wish on their own lights, their own merits. And right now I'm looking at the system and I'm going, well, this doesn't make any sense. And then I look at the amount of enthusiasm by voters. I mean, what's the turnout level here in Alabama?
In the 20s, like low 20s?
Yeah, because it's all in the primary, right? That's where most of the action is, in the GOP primary. And of course, Democrats who are true believers in this thing called democracy that really isn't all that democratic, they keep yapping like, where are your people? If you want some competition, why don't you put up people that are actually good and effective?
For governor, you saw who they were put up.
Who are they putting up? You saw the fake meme?
Jamal Brown?
Oh, well, no, he actually is running. Yeah,
you got to be kidding me.
I think he is running, yes, as an independent.
Okay.
And then somebody put up a fake meme of Stephen Reed running for governor, that he's going to improve crime in the capital city by moving it to Pike Road.
Don't laugh. Things like that have worked. We used to have, when I worked at Hyundai, we used to have this coworker. He was the nicest guy in the world, but very frustrating. So they had a team leader position coming open on the other side of the plant.
Yeah.
So we went as far as we literally went to people with signs saying, hey, vote for Larry. Vote for Larry.
Right.
We got Larry up and promoted right out of our way. Literally on our little cart that we had to drive around on, we had signs, vote for Larry. So
it's so frustrating to see that this is like, no, you can't do those things. That obvious. It's like obvious that he has this authority. Like, it's been obvious for a long time.
It's a government for the people, by the people.
Well, you know,
What constitutes an emergency? I mean, when Moody
Right.
says they have deep concerns
Yes.
over the U.S. government's ability to pay back the money that it's borrowing, I don't understand. Like, does the Titanic have to go all the way down, or can we just hit the iceberg? Like, that's where we are.
we're full speed ahead going towards it. Everybody
We've
can see
already
it.
hit it.
Wow.
Trump's trying to patch it up, and they're just like, nope, we can take on the water. We're
Real
good.
quick here.
We'll
Here's
patch it up later, 30
right.
years from now.
real quick. Here's Senator John Kennedy on Laura Ingraham last night reacting to this ruling that Trump's tariffs, they're just not allowed.
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other two branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
5 minutes ago.
Up. It'll be appealed. I think it's pretty clear that the president has tariff authority. Congress gave it to him. Now you can debate whether that was a prudent move or not, but I think it's pretty clear that he has tariff authority.
Yeah.
And,
So this again,
I
this
think
was
it'll be reversed on appeal.
yeah, yeah. So they're going to go to the Supreme Court, Senator.
Are we sure she's not a man? Sorry, that was just that was an inside thought. I shouldn't have let out. Let's keep listening.
It was a 3-judge panel, 2 Republican appointees on the court, 1 Biden appointee, and it was focused on the use of that IEPA statute. So that's where it was focused. But this is a long way out. This is gonna be challenging.
Well,
challenging.
Sooner or later, the Supreme Court is going to have to address this. Those who oppose the executive branch and those who oppose the legislative branch and are seeking recourse in the courts are at some point going to dig up more snakes than they can kill.
What does that even mean?
You never got up on a snake den?
No.
They just keep coming out.
No, I haven't. I saw Raiders of the
You should
Lost
get out
Ark.
more.
But,
There you go.
Right. You ever come up on a snake den? Like, is that a euphemism for something?
No.
It happens.
Pour some gasoline down on my
Yeah,
throat.
thank you.
Grandpa
Thank
used to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's just like, does it even matter? The people's opinion. Like, it's constantly appealed to. And yet, it's often also massaged in a particular way. It's amazing
The
how this works.
specifics on this case, though, 4 or 5 small business owners, said that the tariffs hurt them. I think it was like
Yes.
a winemaker and some other folks.
Yes.
What about the rest of the country? Like, this court placed the needs of 4 business owners, 4 or 5 business owners,
Right.
over the needs of everyone else in the country. That's essentially how I took this.
Yeah.
Well, the deal is we do have an adversarial system. We do have a court system. Often the judiciary is meant to be the anti-democratic branch of government, explicitly.
Yeah.
They nailed it this time.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see. And again, Musk officially leaving government, but Doge just won a big court case.
Yeah.
So, the courts give and they take it away and they give. They get a huge win, essentially a Democrat appointed district federal judge gave permission to 4 Doge employees to access the Bureau of Fiscal Service, which essentially serves as the checkbook for the federal government. These very sensitive Treasury Department system. Yeah, they're allowed. So, okay.
Right. But it's
And Pete,
for what?
Pete Hegseth found $10 billion with the help of Doge, and all sorts of contracts are cutting. Great.
Oh, the vaccine contract.
Yeah, RFK Jr. cut the Moderna bird flu.
Darn.
So-called
just about to
vaccine.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you were about to get it.
Just about to get it, Joey.
Well, you have
Don't
been
do
in in the
that.
middle. It's been
Don't
weird.
do
I
that.
called him last night and we were just talking about stupid videos like the new Tom Segura show. Oh, it is.
Dude.
Yeah, but in the middle of him describing that one with the guy at the old folks home, Eddie's just like, "Rah!" And I'm like, whoa, what, like, you okay? You going to get the...
Participated in some trials here in Montgomery.
Anyway, let's see who this is on line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, this is Gary.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Speaking of, I'm doing good, trying to enjoy a rainy day. But speaking to Senator Kennedy, I just watched his speech on the floor about the amount of money that the government is sending to dead people.
Yeah.
And if you can find it, you should watch it. It's very enlightening.
I will definitely look that up.
Look it up. It's a very good speech, and he's talking about last year. I think it was last year, year before last. passed, the government sent $1.3 billion to dead people. And Social Security has a list of a death, what they call a death list, that's updated all the time, but they will not share it with the other organizations, the other parts of the government. But look that speech up. It's well worth watching and listening to what he's got to say.
Well, I appreciate it, Gary.
All right. Have a good one.
Enjoy that rainy day. Sometimes it's nice to enjoy
Oh, yeah.
a rainy day. I think I might have found it. I think this is that Kennedy speech he was just speaking of. Let's listen in.
Yes, Mr. President. This is a strong indicator of what's wrong. The Social Security Administration, if you ask them, will tell you that there are, according to their records, there are 6.5 million Americans living today in America who are 112 years of age or older. They say there are 6.5 million Americans who are at least 112 years old or older. Now, I don't know about you, Mr. President, but I don't know anybody who's 112 years old. And I checked, at any given time, there are about 40 people on an ongoing basis in the world who are fortunate enough to live to be 100. I'll give you an example.
No, that's not the one. But, I mean, he's making a good point, though.
I see one here from January of this year, $1.6 billion went to dead people.
Yeah.
I didn't know it paid that well to be dead.
Where does the money go?
Well, that's the thing that we all know. It could, if you're in trouble with the government, they can track every penny, whether you spent cash or not.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us asking questions like that, it suddenly goes to the I don't knows. We can't really track it. It goes to a P.O. box. Well, let's go hang out at that P.O. box. Somebody's going to show up. Well, it goes to this bank account. Well, let's go put a stop on that bank account. Somebody will show up at the bank and say, hey, what's the problem?
I wonder what bank.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, also in news, the deputy director of the FBI,
Yes.
Dan Bongino,
Bongino.
he said there's a video that isn't like the moment Jeffrey Epstein hung himself, but it's like clear evidence that he's the only one in there. I'm like, have you ever heard of the Invisible Man?
Have you ever heard of, hey, they're not believing our BS. We need to create a video now.
Right.
Somebody go get Epstein.
Have you
bring him
seen
in
the
here.
new AI videos that are continuing to fool people?
Yeah.
Usually you could, now the one that fooled a lot of people is the kangaroo with his ticket at trying to board a plane.
Right.
And it's adorable because he's like, he's got a ticket.
The one from
And you have to let him on. He has a ticket.
Yeah, but obviously I'm like, that's way too cute for and well behaved of a kangaroo. That's clearly AI. But all sorts of people fell for it.
Yeah.
And the AI is only getting better. So
Really good.
Hey boys, come up with a video real quick. Or it could be the actual surveillance and you just clip it.
Soon it'll be,
make it fairly seamless.
Soon it'll be you barely believe what you see with your own eyes.
Oh yeah, we're already there,
I
man.
mean, that's what it's. Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Right.
I mean, that's 200 or 150-year-old saying.
Yeah.
We're already there. And now the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, says answers about FBI sources, not agents, sources at the January 6th riot coming, and the evidence, the answers will shock people.
I heard it's going to be disturbing.
So he's throwing that out there. Also, in Alabama news, real quick, and again, we have a gentleman named Josh Pendergrass running for state auditor who'll be joining the stream here in probably about 7 minutes. Just to get to know you interview and throwing his name into the hat. But we have some announcements where Steve Marshall is running for Senate. Dale Strong says he is not. He's
Not gonna
pleased with, he says, I'm pleased with to be where I am.
Well, good for him.
And I guess Rick Pate is running for, he's the current ag commissioner, running for lieutenant governor. So he'll be going up against Wes Allen. Those are the two clearly declared there.
Talk to Rick Pate.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've chatted him up. So you've got a bunch of people throwing their hat in. I mean, who do y'all think's the favorite in this Senate race? You also in the Senate have this Jarrett Hudson guy, former Navy SEAL.
There's got to be Marshall, right?
I think Marshall right now.
I think Marshall's the clear favorite.
I mean, unless there's another conservative, like true conservative candidate out there to bust up that vote, it's got to be him.
What's Barry Moore doing?
He's praying about stuff.
Probably rolling this around. And
No, I asked him.
Just checking.
Asked him a few weeks back, and he said, "Joe, you know my answer. I'm praying about it." And I'm like, "Okay."
Just checking.
And then apparently, like Daniel or Caleb Taylor at 1819 asked Barry yesterday, and he goes, "I'm still praying." So,
well, the fact that Strong's not running, that makes me think that Barry's probably leaning more that direction.
and do not underestimate Barry Moore. That's been the mistake everybody makes with that guy, and he really is.
I like the guy, man.
I'll put it this way, and I'm trying to put it nice because I do like the guy. He's not one of these like silver tongue charismatics.
No,
he's just kind of an everyday guy.
Gets it done,
but he's solid, and he votes in the way he says he's going to vote on the campaign trail.
The common sense goes a long way.
The congressman and I haven't always gotten along, but he is by far one of the most reliable conservative votes.
Yeah, there you go.
You can count on across the delegation, regardless of what level of government. I mean,
well, and he's a good story in the general truism that maybe a little controversy, going through a little hell, you actually are better on the other side of it. I believe he was caught up all in that Mike Hubbard stuff, right?
I think he was in some of it, yeah.
Yeah, and it like you'd think after being in court all at I mean, where are you going to go from? And now he's been in Congress, is one in two different districts, and maybe he will take a shot at it. Oh, by the way, if the appeal on the redistricting fails, they're going to appeal it one more time. They said the folks that run it in the legislature, Livingston, I forget the other guy, said this will be the map till 2030. So the current map might stay. It all depends on this next appeal of the new district.
How do you see that going?
I have no clue.
I don't think it's going to.
I don't have faith in it. Yeah.
Well, they pretty much, I mean, the court's already said, like, well, unless y'all can come up with a different rationale, then we're going to stick with where we are. So
that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, how about this? Let's hit a quick break. We'll be coming back with our guest, Josh Pendergrass. He's running for state auditor, a good fellow from the Prattville area. We'll get into his background and what he hopes to do there if you elect him the next state auditor here in the great state of Alabama. Be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hey, y'all, Lewis at the Capitol Oyster Bar. We're located over here on the beautiful Alabama River. We got a fryer, a steamer, and a grill, and we cook up fresh seafood for you. We also got a killer hamburger and a great ribeye, some chicken wings. We got all kind of good stuff. We got a steamer over here. We got the Royal Red shrimp, a shrimp from Argentina. Tastes between a shrimp and a lobster and a crab's what they've been described. That's some good eating right there. Crawfish season's almost over. We're still getting some crawfish in, but it won't be long, so check it all out at CapitolOysterBar.com or our Facebook page. You'll see the upcoming shows also. Let's talk about Sunday afternoon. Man, this is 3 weeks in a row. We brought Montgomery some fine entertainment. This week from Chicago, Mississippi Heat's in town. All right, I'm telling you, good stuff, 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, you can rent you a pontoon boat down here. All you need is a driver's license, a credit card, and hook you up. And got a couple of spots open in the RV park if you want to come down here and spend the weekend with us. So y'all don't forget, 4 o'clock showtime. We'll see you soon, and stay cool.
Alabama weather will never fail to surprise you. Our lawns hardly get a chance to have any downtime. And as usual, it's already time to start getting ready for summer. This year, save the hard work and aggravation and call Alabama Lawns, the River Region's leader in weed control and fertilization services. What makes Alabama Lawns the River Region's best? It's the people. They have the experience, education, and commitment to customer satisfaction. Ask your neighbors. Alabama Lawns has been the Montgomery Advertiser's Reader's Choice Award winner 13 years in a row. The Alabama Lawns staff is made up of long-term employees and agronomy graduates, and the staff at Alabama Lawns attend annual continuing education classes. It pays to have someone that knows southern grass types and how to keep them green and flourishing. Call Alabama Lawns today at 272-7171 and let them show you real value in a lawn maintenance service. Alabama Lawns, the company with black trucks and green lawns. 272-7171.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Now let's go to our guest. As promised, he's a candidate in this upcoming cycle for state auditor. We have Josh Pendergrass joining the program. Josh, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Joey. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing quite well today. Other than the national news, I'll just put that aside. It's refreshing to be able to talk local politics where elections actually matter. First, this is the first time we're meeting, at least in this way. I don't know much about you. For folks who don't know much about you, just tell the 101.
Well, the best way I know to describe it is by telling a joke. A lawyer, a preacher, and a politician walk into a bar and everybody says, "Hey, Josh." And that sums me up in totality pretty quickly there. I am a practicing lawyer, have been for nearly 15 years, have my own practice in Prattville. In that time, though, I've worked extensively in the political world, served as communications director for Governor Kay Ivey for a couple of years. I also have worked in the political consulting realm, was the original very first hire of Brent Buchanan before Signal became Signal even. Yeah. And so have been was involved in the campaign in 2008 and 2010 to take the state and turn it red, and have been involved in Alabama politics ever since then in various capacities. I currently am one of Autauga County's 2 elected representatives on the state executive committee of the Republican Party. So I serve in that role. And I also am seminary trained and have been in full-time and part-time ministry. And so I'm an eclectic individual with an eclectic background.
Here. And why the state auditor's position? What are you looking to do with this office?
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the things I think is interesting about the state auditor's office is I've actually had to deal with the state auditor and my role as the communication director for the governor. So when I came in to my position, I had to sign a big sheet, a bunch of property. And when I left, I had to account for all that property and everything that I had. And so I've seen it from that perspective, but I also understand that a lot of people don't recognize the state auditor is responsible for $1.3 billion worth of state property. $1.3 billion. That is roughly a seventh of the state's budgets every year just in property that the state auditor is responsible for. And in my opinion, good government happens when nobody's watching. Unfortunately, we tend to pay attention to the big things, and that's when we see things. When we're not really watching is when good government can happen or when bad government can happen. And so it's my opinion that we need somebody who is going to watch that $1.3 billion and make sure that it's being used accurately, that it's being used for the right purposes. And state employees are good people and they work really hard, but there are some who aren't. And there have been instances that I've uncovered where state employees will literally not want to deal with something and just chuck state property off of the side of the street somewhere. And they're not usually held accountable for that, even though there are ways for them to be held accountable. So I want to ensure good government, kind of a mini Alabama version of Doge, I guess you could say, through the auditor's office. And I also think the auditor's office is important, and a lot of people don't recognize this, because the auditor is one of just 3 people who gets to pick the county board of registrars in every county throughout the state. Election integrity begins in the registrar's office, ensuring that we know who is voting, that we know that we're counting the votes accurately, that things are being done the right way, begins with those appointments. And it's important to me that we have somebody making those appointments who understands the importance of election integrity, but also, just to be quite frank with you, cares about it. There are a lot of people who run for auditor and for low down the ballot races who just want to put their name on a ballot or who just looking for a job. I've got a pretty good gig in life right now. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not necessarily looking for the next big thing. I'm looking to do what's right by people, and running for auditor is a way for me to do that.
Now, it seems like, I mean, and maybe I'm premature on this, the 2026 election cycle here in Alabama might be a big change election, given, say, some big names running at the top of the ticket. I've always, I've had Andrew Sorrell on a good bit. I got to know Jim Ziegler a little bit. Especially in Ziegler's case, he would hand out these tiny little business cards because they kept cutting his budget. Is there any way maybe to get some teeth back into the auditor's office? I know that would require the legislature, but maybe that could help you in your Doge mission.
So, first of all, I'm thankful to be able to count Andrew Sorrell as a friend, and he and I spent some significant time together as I prepared for this race to learn from him and understand kind of on the ground what's going on. And he's done a good job so far of moving the auditor's office in the right direction. The budget has increased some. There's been some movement there. He's been able to heal some relationships that needed to be healed with the legislature. He actually has a bill that has not been gotten through, but I will continue to support, which will give some more teeth to the auditor's office, particularly in relation to those instances when state employees misuse property and there needs to be, potential criminal prosecution. The auditor could refer that to the Attorney General's office and do some things there. So absolutely, I think there are some things that can be done. One of the things that I think I bring to the table, because of my extensive background in Alabama politics, I know a lot of folks, right? And you may remember a couple of years ago, I ran for the state legislature, had been endorsed by the Speaker of the House. There was a big kerfuffle over votes for Speaker, and I got drawn out of my district. And you can look at the map, and 2 streets above and 2 streets below, that's kind of how it worked out. But because of that, I can pick up the phone and call Nathaniel Ledbetter. I can pick up the phone and I can call the chairman of the Rural Caucus, David Standridge. I can call some folks in the legislature to help advance some priorities that in the past, the relationships just haven't been there to advance those priorities. And so I look forward to being able to use the work I've done in the past to build those relationships to benefit the auditor's office and therefore the people of Alabama.
Now, going back to more about you in your bio, what kind of law have you been practicing? What's your focus there?
So in a small town like Prattville, a lot of us do what we call threshold law. If it comes across the threshold, you do it. But in general, my practice has really been focused in family law, juvenile law. I do, because of my background as also a pastor, I do quite a bit of church law, and I also do probate law. I don't mind mentioning it. It's part of my story. I grew up very poor in a very broken home. I was abused as a child. Very difficult situation for me. And so I do a lot of juvenile law because I can interact with kids who have been from tough places. And I can tell pretty quickly if they're telling me the truth or if things are what they say they are, they're not what they say they are. And so about half my practice is in juvenile law, including contracts with the state to handle cases as what's called a guardian ad litem, which is an attorney appointed to represent the best interest of the child.
Very good. And then tell us a little bit about your church.
So I have taken some time off from pastoring to proceed with running for auditor and just to focus on my family. We have an 8-year-old son, and he's in the swing of life where he's playing ball and made all-stars and all that kind of thing. And we were expecting another child, and unfortunately, our son Turner was born and passed away on the same day back in March. And we were heartbroken over that, but we believe that God had a plan for it. And it was not long after that it came around that there was some interest in me seeking this office and some folks wanting me to do that. And had we had a newborn at home, I probably wouldn't be doing that. And so I trust in the Lord's provision, but I still preach as opportunities present themselves and arise. And I like to tell people education is very important to me. It changed my life. It got me out of where I came from as a child. And as a first person in my family to go to college, first to do a lot of things. And other than about 3 years since was 6 years old, I've been in school. So I'm actually getting my doctorate degree in ministry from Liberty University right now, and look forward to using that into the future. But not currently pastoring, but was pastoring up until about 2 years ago at Wadsworth Baptist Church, which is the church in Otago County that actually got destroyed by the tornado that came through, and I was pastoring there when that happened.
Now, how did you get into, say, conservative politics? You said you were back during the days when the state really turned red. What's that story?
Well, it really goes to a little bit of the story I was telling you a minute ago about the way that I grew up. I grew up very poor. I didn't have very much. My father was abusive. He went to prison. My parents were divorced. The very typical story. I remember when food stamps were real paper, and my father would give me food stamps and would make me go buy a 25-cent chewing gum. So he would get the 75 cents back, and then he'd take that to buy beer or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever he wanted to buy. And so I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to have my electricity cut off. I know what it's like to not have water. And as a business owner, now I know what it's like to make paychecks and to make payroll and see that other families are depending on me. And you put all that together, and I learned early in life that the government could do a lot for me by staying out of my way and giving me a hand up, but never giving me a handout. And part of why I'm involved in conservative politics is because I think there are a lot of people who want to find excuses for why they have problems rather than solutions to overcome the problems. And that's part of our problem with government. We have a lot of liberals in particular who want to find the excuse and never find the solution. And that's part of why I'm doing this for state auditors, because let's not have an excuse about, well, this thing went wrong or that thing went wrong, or we just lost this and we can't find it. Okay, things happen. I get that, but let's do better. Let's take the taxpayer dollars that we've been entrusted with and do better with them. And so that is very much what's driving me, is my conservative background and philosophy that shows that the government has its place. There's no doubt. Government needs money. Government needs to spend money. Government needs to do things, but it needs to do them well. And we need people who care about that in the echelons and the inner workings of government to ensure that happens.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Josh. And I know this is just the beginning. Again, folks, we've been talking to Josh Pendergrass. He is running for state auditor here in the great state of Alabama. Of course, we'd love to have you back. Again, this is going to be, I think, a long slog. I don't mean that necessarily even in a bad way. Just we got a long road ahead. If folks want to support you in any way possible in your campaign, how can they do so?
Well, I appreciate you, Joey. As a matter of fact, we're sending out a press release as soon as this show is over. So you got the exclusive announcement about my race. We'll be sending that out, and people can go to joshpendergrass.com. Pretty simple. joshpendergrass.com. They can learn about me, my family, my beautiful wife, our 8-year-old son. All that information is there. And of course, as donations can now be accepted now that we're in campaign season, we would appreciate any support that anybody would send our way. It's a big campaign. I've got to visit within the next 60 days, all 67 counties. So there's a lot to do.
Well, best of luck, sir. And I hope we talk again soon. Thank you, Josh.
All right. Thank you, Joey. Have a great day.
You too. Again, folks, that is Josh Pendergrass. Announcing here. I didn't know we had the exclusive, so I appreciate that. And he sounds like, man, what a life. And when you've been through those sorts of things he described, it does shape you, and that adversity, you overcome it. And, I like what I'm hearing so far. We got to hit a quick break. We'll be right back, folks.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. And I'm Madeline Cannon. It's true, rates aren't as low as they have been for the past couple of years, but there are still many homeowners that could benefit from refinancing their current mortgage. There are a lot of things in life that are out of our control, but your mortgage rate is not one of them. If you currently have an adjustable rate mortgage, Mortgage, then you owe it to yourself to give us a call.
Adjustable rate mortgages make sense for some people in stable markets, but in this wild, ever-changing rate environment, it only makes sense to secure a fixed interest rate. A fixed interest rate will give you the peace of mind that your rate is locked. Your rate will not be subject to change with the political and economic tides.
At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can personalize your term. We offer 8-year to 30-year mortgages and everything in between. Grab your mortgage statement and give us a call.
Call Alabama Home Mortgage, the #1 mortgage lender in Alabama, today at 567-4223, or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
When you need a new door or window replaced, you want it done right. Someone who delivers expert craftsmanship every time. Experience is a must. Listen, Davis Door and Sash. They can show you new doors and windows that can help you lower your utility bills and boost energy efficiency. Davis Door and Sash, Alabama.com, or call 334-288-6010. Davis Door and Sash, the perfect fit for your home.
Hello, I'm Johnny Sullivan from Sinclair's Restaurant. We're almost 27 years, and our business is as good as ever, and I give credit to Blue Water Broadcasting for keeping us on the air and letting people know what we do. Advertising with them has been a huge help to our business. I've seen a uptick from day one. If you need to grow your business, I highly recommend you give them a call.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our wet and stormy forecast continues today with showers and thunderstorms. A good bet just about any time, really. Some of the storms today and tomorrow could be strong, possibly severe. Damaging wind gusts would be the main threat. High today and tomorrow in the low to mid 80s, very humid. Low tonight down to about 68. A frontal system swings through the state on Friday, and behind it, some very nice air for the weekend with lower humidity, comfortable days, cooler nights, and lots of sunshine. Hang on. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low-price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Are you thinking about selling your home? Here's a question for you. Would you trust your biggest investment to someone who's only doing real estate as a side gig? They've got another job, so how focused are they on getting you the best results? I'm Hannah Grantham, and for us at Forest Meadows Homes and Land, real estate is our full-time and only job.
That's right. You don't have a part-time banker, so why would you have a part-time realtor?
So if you're thinking of selling, think Hannah Grantham and Eddie Bader, and let's make sure your home gets the attention it deserves.
We're full-time agents getting full-time results. Give us a call today, 334-322-0662.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie Bader, he's the one in the middle of the screen. Byron Sheehy on the right of the screen. Y'all been watching any of this Bitcoin conference? Or you just been waiting for me to talk about it?
Yeah, listen to you talk about it.
Okay, that's fair.
Bated breath, man.
I freaking love it. What's going on right now? No, seriously, it came out fairly recently. On credit cards, they do the whole cashback thing or points or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the companies there, the Winklevoss twins, run a exchange like Coinbase called Gemini. And they had just put out a credit card that gives Bitcoin back, like 4% on gas, and there's a whole breakdown. But it's like, okay, that's interesting. You're seeing now Jack Dorsey, the nice, sleek, white payment center. You go to any little shop, Square.
Mm-hmm. Square payment.
Square will now have the Bitcoin Lightning Network just built in as an option, and merchants can immediately convert it into dollars, or they can hold the Bitcoin themselves. And so you're starting to see more and more adoption In particular, this is the former PayPal president. He jumped on CNBC, and well, he had this to lay out. Let's just listen in for a second, because they go through a little of the history, how this guy in the first conference of the first Bitcoin conference was 2013, and there's about 100 people. And now, well, listen to the number of how many folks they have in Vegas this week.
And CEO David Marcus. Marcus previously led payments at Meta. He's also at PayPal and has been going to this conference, I believe, since something like 2013.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so it was like 5 guys in a basement in 2013, and now it's this?
It was, maybe 100 people in San Jose who didn't know what they were doing, but they found Bitcoin interesting.
And how many people were talking about this time?
35,000, I think.
Wow.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Including the vice president.
When you saw the vice president there, I mean, if I had asked you in 2013, the vice president shows up and something like this, did you ever think that was in the cards?
If you asked me a year ago whether that was going to happen, I would not believe you.
And so where does this go from here? We were just talking to a fellow from Merrill Lynch, talking about sort of, when and if these major firms are actually able to start pushing this stuff, not just sort of accepting it, if you will. How does that change it? Or do you think that's already built into the price?
No, I think there's so much room to go from here, because Bitcoin is becoming mainstream. It's becoming really the true digital gold that we've all been talking about for a while, but now it's actually happening and people care.
But you've always talked about also trying to make it a payment system.
Yes.
Like actually buy stuff with it.
Not necessarily with Bitcoin to unit of accounts, but build a real-time settlement network on top of Bitcoin.
Which is what your company does.
Yes.
So the question is, when does that take off?
Well, it's taking off right now. We're having very large digital banks coming onto the network. We have Nubank that has 100 million customers in Latin America. We have Revolut coming on. We'll make announcements soon about US banks coming on as well, and other large wallets that are coming onto the network. So we're live in 70 countries, and you can move any currency to any currency in real time 24/7 on a weekend, with Bitcoin in the middle. So it's happening.
How do you feel about a company like a GameStop putting it on its balance sheet, maybe playing a little bit of a Michael Saylor game? I don't know. And whether you think that's coming to corporate America writ large?
I think it is. The really interesting thing with Bitcoin is the incentives that were baked in 16 plus years ago, and now you see it play in such an incredible way. We had a lot of concentration with strategy, and suddenly you have dozens of other companies that are spinning up. So you're spreading the risk basically into other companies, and even Michael would say that he welcomes other people doing it.
You've given a lot of your support to President Trump. I believe you sort of switched gears.
Yes, I did.
And went that direction. And so my question, though, is I imagine you're very happy about some of the policies as it relates to Bitcoin. But what do you think of his family's involvement and his own personal involvement in Bitcoin? Well, and not just Bitcoin, crypto, meme stocks, the whole thing.
The question would be the same if you're talking about stocks and the stock market. Like, is the president's family allowed to actually trade stocks or deal with the private and public markets? And I think the answer is yes. And I think this is a new category.
You think the answer is yes?
I mean, it's a class. It's a new. Is the family not supposed to be able to buy stocks?
Correct.
Or even bonds?
Yes.
Or
They're not. They're not.
Are they allowed to hold dollars?
Well,
that's an asset class too. I mean, it's a decision that you're making to hold dollars. It might not be a great
historically,
decision.
Presidents have either gone to blind trusts or done other kinds of things in the same way that if you want the head of the SEC, I would imagine you wouldn't want them trading.
There comes the corporate media out in that guy. But the actual Trump brothers were there at the conference, and they said they were not, they're latecomers to Bitcoin and to crypto. Because, they had always been in traditional finance. Yeah. And you're talking about Wharton Business School graduates and they
weren't schooling nobody on Bitcoin.
No. And so they often were, we're good. And what happened, especially in the 2020 cycle and after, is they couldn't find a bank. Like they were talking about, I have some clip here of Eric Trump, but Donald Trump Jr. was saying, yeah, that hotel we have here in Vegas down the street, our bank left us.
Oh. They
we
didn't
couldn't get a
Z
bank.
They just
so they started to lean on the crypto people and
Yeah.
Bitcoin in particular to essentially finance and keep themselves afloat. And so they're essentially, by being punished, were forced into this world. It's fascinating.
I don't want to hear anything from the Democrats on Trump being involved with crypto or anything else, because I learned today or late last night that the president can't even impose tariffs. So,
right. So what control does he really have?
yeah, I mean,
he should just go away altogether. That's, I think, what their answer is. But
that's all they got.
Here's a little taste of it. The two Trump brothers were there on stage, and you might catch parts in this clip where it's, man, some of these guys are way too polished that are working in the. Well, Eddie, what you got to do is just keep stacking those sats and hodling, like just using all the lingo, all the jargon on top of jargon.
Stats on stats, man.
Mm-hmm. Do you even know what that means? Stacking sats?
Stacking sacks of cash.
No, stacking sats.
Oh no.
Satoshis. That is the smallest unit of Bitcoin. People are like,
I thought the
there's
smallest
only
unit was
there's only 21 million BTC, but each BTC is divisible into 100 million Satoshis. It's to the like 8th decimal point or something like that.
In all practicality, it's damn near finite. Or
Well, it's a fixed supply, but if you count every unit down to the smallest unit, which is a Satoshi, it's 2.1 quadrillion. So it's enough.
what happens if they slide the decimal place over one more time?
No,
They're just not going to.
no, the supply is fixed in that regard.
I understand
And
that
let's
the
say
supply
if
is fixed.
Bitcoin goes, if BTC, like one Bitcoin, one BTC goes to $1 million, a Satoshi will essentially be 1 cent.
What guarantees do we have that they're not going to introduce a currency beyond this Satoshi or Satoshi?
It's fixed.
I understand that the numbers fixed.
When you say they, you're talking about 20,000 different miners, which means millions and millions of people who are all bought into this thing. So if you're going to change the amount of supply, you would completely undercut everybody's investment in why they're playing this game.
Who came to the conclusion that it was going to extend 8 decimal points?
Satoshi Nakamoto, who made this thing.
Okay. I thought he was just the one who came up with the 21 million total units. I didn't know that he slid the.
No. This was always always been the design. Hadn't been changed since the beginning.
Still a newbie, man. Still trying to learn.
But here is it starts with Eric Trump. This was at the conference in Vegas.
Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. If you go back 12 months, there were probably less than 100 companies that were treasuring Bitcoin that really had any. And now every single day, it's another sovereign wealth fund. Look what GameStop just did. Look what Truth Social did. Every single day, people are allocating billions and billions of dollars to it. 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be worth an absolute fortune. And
let's talk to the average American right now. I talk to millions of people every day on my channel, and what I hear a lot is, well, Bitcoin's already over 100K. I can't buy one whole Bitcoin anymore. I could buy maybe 0.1 Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin, but I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it. What would you tell to somebody that is saying, should I buy 0.1 Bitcoin? Is a fraction of 1 Bitcoin worth it?
I think without question. Listen, I think for everyone,
Donald Trump
the
Jr.
second you get in it, right? Even as a student of finance and whatever it may be, once you're vested, all of a sudden you're paying attention. You're in the details. You don't have to buy 100,000, at Bitcoin. Like you buy as much as you can, whatever percent you can, and once you have that vesting, you're all of a sudden committed. You're paying attention to the details. You're understanding the game a lot more. You figure it out. I mean, people have said, "Hey, Bitcoin's too expensive." They said it at 1,000. They said it at 10,000. They said it at 50,000. This is a story that's pretty old right now. This has been going on for over a decade, where it's too much. So, I think it's just important to get people in the game, to start understanding that, to utilize the other platforms, to be able to figure out DeFi. I think the more you do that, the more people are vested, the further away you get away from the traditional finance systems, and I think the whole community grows accordingly.
Guys, there's one other aspect about this. I mean, all of us travel all over the world. Don and I travel hundreds of thousands of miles a year. I'm telling you right now, everybody in the world wants Bitcoin. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're, royal families. I don't care if you're the biggest, financial institutions. Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. If you go back 12 months, there were probably less than 100 companies that were treasuring Bitcoin that really had any. And now every single day, it's another sovereign wealth fund. Look what GameStop just did. Look what Truth Social did. Every single day, people are allocating billions and billions of dollars to it. 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be worth an absolute fortune. And, look at the OTCs. The OTCs have the least amount.
That means over the counter.
Of Bitcoin ever on their books, right? I mean, the arrow's going straight down as the price of Bitcoin is going straight up. I've got a dear friend. He spoke on the stage before, Simon from Metaplan, and I asked him, what's the hardest problem? And he goes, honestly, we're running out of Bitcoin. It's hard to find on the exchanges. I mean, guys, everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of it. Everybody wants it as a balance sheet item. Every family, and this isn't America. This is the entire Middle East. This is Africa. This is all of Asia. This is Fortune 500. I mean, this is the biggest private offices. Everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of fractions of integers. We just are so early to the game that some of us have been lucky enough to buy, full Bitcoin or many full Bitcoin, but don't let that deter you from getting in there, because this is an asset, and this is an asset that is absolutely unstoppable.
So you would say the Trump brothers are pretty bought in on this?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And what is amazing is they were kind of forced into it. Like the traditional banking system debanked them.
Yep.
Like we've heard about it from, we just mentioned earlier in the show, Andrew Sorrell.
Yep.
He was debanked because he was a gun store owner.
Mm-hmm.
So many folks were debanked. And now you have a completely different regime in place. And then folks are like, well, what about if the Democrats win or something? No, a lot of Democrats are now buying into it. And they're thinking they'll have a, what do they call it, a market structure bill. So it's not just the discretion of the regulators. No, these are the clear guardrails. So you can't have another Gary Gensler at the SEC come in and start really, or Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas start messing with people again.
Are we on the cusp of a major currency crisis?
You just asked a big question.
I mean, it's very serious. I mean, if our dollar is becoming less powerful and it's being decoupled because of Bitcoin or crypto in general, that's added fuel to the fire.
I mean, down the road, the United States dollar, again, this is why they've set up the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That it's in the same way that the United States holds a lot of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big question in the sense of I'm already over time and I have to hit the stop hour break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Dylan Rings. And they're at Dylan Rings. Josh and Leslie Ryder are ready to help you out with any and all of your jewelry needs. Y'all both been by there.
Oh, yeah.
And, we mentioned earlier in the week, if you have any old jewelry laying around, gold, silver, platinum, they buy it all. Stuff that you haven't even thought about until maybe you just heard me mention it. Why not take some of that old stuff that's broken that you don't ever wear, you don't even think about, like I said, and take it by Dylan Rings, see what it's worth. Maybe just swap it in for some cold hard cash. Of course, they can also do custom design work and are hip to the latest, say, styles and fashions that you want a truly custom design engagement ring, but you want it to harken back to a certain era. I'm looking at Dylan Ring's Facebook page right now. Apparently Zendaya, or whatever that actress's name.
Yeah.
She's engaged to Tom Holland. They got engaged in January. And the East-West style engagement ring has gained in popularity because of that.
It's a pretty ring.
Yeah, dating back to the 1920s, this engagement ring setting style originated during the Art Deco movement. Very cool stuff. Not only does it enhance the look of a step-cut gemstone, which is the structured faceting pattern seen in emeralds, pears, marquise. See, I need to get Josh in here to give me a study class on how to pronounce it. Yeah, we need to get him back in here because half the time, like I'm just trying to make it up as I go along. But the point is, it really accents these gems in a particular way. Popular because of famous stars getting married.
Yeah, well, it's like I said,
and he can pull this off for you. Like they can find one, or they can create one out of whole cloth. They can do a custom design work for you. Point is, they're a full service jewelry store there at Dylan Rings. So y'all check them out today. Just get by there. Stop by 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery, just off Atlanta Highway, and be sure to tell them that Joey, Eddie, and Byron, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Secretary of State Rubio said some Chinese students would have their U.S. visas revoked. The U.S. will begin revoking the visas of some of the students, including those studying in critical fields. and those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party, according to the announcement. Filings for U.S. jobless aid jumped last week, but American workers broadly remain secure in their jobs despite economic uncertainty over global trade. Jobless benefits applications rose by 14,000 to 240,000 for the week ending May 24th, according to the Labor Department. And Tropical Storm Alvin forming in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of western Mexico, Alvin becoming the first named storm of the 2025 hurricane season. The Dow had 13 points. The NASDAQ Composite is up 84 points. This is SRN News.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show here. And when it comes to mortgages, I only trust the team that's helped me and my family more than once, Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. These guys are friends, believers. They built a company on biblical values that actually puts you first. In today's economy, with everything costing more, you need a lender who can help you make smart strategic moves when it comes to real estate. Need cash for home improvements? Thinking about a HELOC or a refi to consolidate debt? Well, Fellowship Home Loans can help you do it faster and for less. Why? Because they're a direct lender, not a broker. No middleman. No unnecessary fees. That means fewer hoops, less waiting, and real answers from real people who care. Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or just exploring your options, Fellowship Home Loans will tailor everything to your unique needs. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 81938.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. Man's best friend deserves nothing but the best, and that's what you'll find at MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville. They carry only the highest quality dog food brands for your best friend. MPM in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open 8 to 5:30 on weekdays and Saturdays 8 to 2. Call Clint Smith at 334-361-8818.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our wet and stormy forecast continues today with showers and thunderstorms. A good bet just about any time, really. Some of the storms today and tomorrow could be strong, possibly severe. Damaging wind gusts would be the main threat. High today and tomorrow in the low to mid 80s, very humid. Low tonight down to about 68. A frontal system swings through the state on Friday, and behind it, some very nice air for the weekend with lower humidity, comfortable days, cooler nights, and lots of sunshine. Hang on. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Hey, this is Peaches and Clean, powerful carpet cleaning. Do you have commercial property, offices, or rental units? Give us a call at Peaches and Clean. We can clean and restore your carpeting and bring them back to life. Give us a call at Peaches and Clean or peachesandclean.com.
There's no clean like Peaches and Clean.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Alabama PSC President Twinkle Kavanaugh is stepping down to take a position with the Trump administration. Kavanaugh has been appointed by President Trump to serve as the Department of Agriculture's State Director for Rural Development in Alabama. Kavanaugh's resignation will be effective June 1st after 13 years as president of the Public Service Commission. Prattville Pride Fest 2025 has been moved from Prattville to Montgomery's Evans Park due to venue issues. Disagreements arose between Prattville Pride and the city over a green space rental agreement. All Prattville Park pavilions were booked for June, prompting suspicion of intentional blocking. Fitzgerald, a rhinoceros at the Montgomery Zoo, is recovering after undergoing surgery to treat an infection in his horn. Due to the limited antibiotics rhinos can tolerate, the zoo had to use medical maggots to remove infected tissue. Fitz responded well to the treatment and is expected to return to the rhino exhibit in the next few weeks. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing. If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing industry.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's Conversational Radio Show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. So there's so many ways we could go in this next hour. I'll give you all a choice. I'll read some of the clips I have here that we could use as prompts.
All right.
Obese Democrat influencer, that's a nice way of putting it. Obese Democrat influencer Olivia Juliana says she has what it takes to bring young men over to the Democratic Party. Option 1, that's option 1. Option 2, I'm sitting in until Donald Trump is impeached, convicted, and removed. This is a guy sitting in, I believe, the Texas legislature, and he's about a month into sitting in.
The insider or anything?
Yeah, and they're apparently having
Just
like
working around him.
seminars and like they're praying and stuff, and
Okay.
maybe smoking the peace pipe. No, that's not allowed in Texas. Yeah, they cracked down
Yeah,
on the
you
whole
saw that.
CBD stuff too.
Big alcohol.
We also have NPR chief Catherine Mayer says we're a nonpartisan news organization.
Yeah, it was so funny.
And then we have Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, pushing back against all the criticism online against them. And of course, I mean, I might just have to make the choice because this is from yesterday.
Okay.
Because there are certain conservative influencers. There really is a divide in the right now, and a divide in MAGA. Ben Shapiro is like the epitome of this.
Okay.
Where he's annoyed with Trump right now.
Of course he is.
Because how dare Trump tell Israel what to do? We have to bomb Iran. If the United States isn't going to do it, then Israel's got to do it.
Right.
And Trump is like, no, I'm in the middle of it negotiating with them. If y'all bomb them, that's just not cool.
Right. But there you go. I'm in the middle of negotiating with him. Not everybody wants peace, Joey.
Really? Yeah, I'm starting to learn that slowly but surely. Here's Trump yesterday being asked about some rumors that he told Netanyahu something.
Oh.
Back on Iran, did you warn Prime Minister Netanyahu against taking some sort of actions that could disrupt the talks there in a phone call last week?
Well, I'd like to be honest. Yes, I did. Next question.
You know they're listening, so.
If Senate Republicans want to push
It's not a warning. I said, I don't think it's appropriate.
What exactly did you tell him? Did
I
you
just said, I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with him. And I said, I don't think it's appropriate right now. Because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want. We can blow up whatever we want, but nobody getting killed. We can blow up a lab, but nobody's going to be in the lab, as opposed to everybody being in the lab and blowing it up, right? Two ways of doing it. Yeah, I told him this would be inappropriate to do right now because we're very close to a solution. Now, that could change at any moment. It could change with a phone call. But right now, I think they want to make a deal. And if we can make a deal, save a lot of lives.
So Trump being pretty straight up there.
Did you see where Syria was apparently removed from the terror watch list?
Oh, yeah. No, the thing with Syria, moving to that real quick, is they realized Rubio was talking about this. And I believe the crown prince there in Saudi Arabia made this clear to Trump, that if the United States doesn't lift sanctions and lift all these designations, even though this guy used to be, a bin Ladenite head chopper, you're just going to get more civil war. And we're already starting to see pockets of ISIS crop up. So empower these people, let Jordan and Saudi and all these folks you're already allies with help them stand up their infrastructure and not cause a bunch of ruckus, and maybe you won't have the continuation of the civil war that's been going on over a decade.
Well, right, well, you got to lose at this point.
Right, because if you don't intervene, it's going to happen. Right. Maybe you can slow it down by just recognizing some of these folks.
I took it as a positive step of how far they're probably progressing with the actual talks.
Right. And then, of course, yeah, it is funny. Another guy who's an epitome of this bomb Iran is Mark Levin.
Yeah.
And Levin did this whole like old man screed. He wrote like a 10,000 word essay on X. That was like, any agreement has to be approved by the Senate.
Oh,
we have to follow the Constitution of the United States.
When it's convenient.
You know, channel Levin there for a second.
When it's convenient
But,
for
hey,
me.
Mark, when are we going to follow the Constitution of the United States when it comes to, bombing people around the world? No, we don't need a declaration of war for that.
Nope.
So again, we pick and choose when the Constitution comes into play, right? Depending on our agendas. Now, I appreciate Trump actually pursuing peace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting it from both sides. He's getting it from the hawks. They're like, no, this isn't going to work. Bombs away. Just more fighting, more weapons, more death. And then he's getting it from the left. They're like, I thought you said you're going to make peace day one. Okay. And it's just like, no, okay. If you're getting it from both sides, keep trudging forward, sir. Because I would love to see a lot of these peace deals actually follow through.
Man, thank God he's president. I mean, I know we dodged a bullet, but given what he's trying to do and the pushback that he's receiving from conservative Republicans in D.C., I can't imagine how bad it would be if he wasn't, the guy in charge right now.
And yet, we're still kind of stuck in the mud because of the GOP and the Congress. You think, oh, we got the Congress too. We got the majority.
What do you got? Got Obamacare.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget that.
Yeah. Now, the Trump administration's making an interesting argument. I saw Stephen Miller on this about the big, beautiful bill.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Stephen going, some so-called self-styled libertarians are out there accepting the CBO scoring. When did libertarians start believing that tax cuts, a continuation of tax cuts that are currently law, is going to add to the debt? Because a big part of the deficit that the CBO is projecting is they're assuming the tax cuts expire, the 68% tax increase, which would, that would be awful for the economy in so many ways.
Day one.
So if you continue these tax cuts, that's breaking with their assumptions. So you're adding to the debt because we would have raised all this revenue if we increase these taxes. And so the Trump administration is doubling down on, we are going to cut $1.5 trillion. Mostly this will be work requirements like Clinton did in the 90s on Medicaid. The Medicaid expansion is an outgrowth of Obamacare.
Yep.
So we'll see. A lot of massaging is going to be done in the Senate. But right now, the GOP, everybody, at least who helped get these people into office, or at least get Trump into office, they're salty about how Elon's been treated. They're salty about the whole Doge cuts not actually being followed through by the GOP. They're and also salty about, we got Bongino and Kash Patel running the FBI. We're really going to figure out all the secrets and figure out where all the rot is, right? Right?
Maybe.
Party's over, buddy.
Yeah. So let's go to that. That's there's been a charm offensive after that initial interview.
Mm-hmm.
So Kash Patel, let's start with him. He's the director, right? He is coming out and saying, well, we've actually got answers about what happened on January 6th.
Yep.
I mean, they're also going to look into the cocaine in the White House. And I think there's a lot of people online. I agree with them. And we don't care about the cocaine anymore.
Not anymore.
Who cares?
But if anything else, FBI or whoever already came out with one story. So you're going to contradict them, which is just going to make me believe both of you less.
So here's Kash Patel on the whole January 6th, getting to the bottom of what happened that day.
Questions about January 6th and whether or not there were FBI sources, not agents, sources on the ground during January 6th. And I told you I would get you the definitive answer to that. And we have. And we are in the process, again, of working with our partners to divulge that information. And it is coming. And I will tell you this. The answer to that question will surprise and shock people because of what past FBI leaders have said about it.
Former FBI Director Chris Wray eventually admitted to Congress there were 26 FBI confidential human sources in around the Capitol January 6th, but not actual agents. Can you say that's true? Are there more than that? What you're learning from that?
I can say that that is definitely a piece of the truth. Why it took a ton of time for and questioning in Congress for the director to get that point is what I'm trying to eliminate from the FBI. If Congress asks you a question under oath, whether or not there were sources in around January 6th at the Capitol, you as the director of the FBI need to know that and not deflect and give a DC answer. You have to be prepared for that. And that's the answer we're giving. That's the answer Chris Wray should have given.
And eventually everybody's going to know the whole picture.
Yeah, because the American people deserve that. And look, no one's more frustrated than me. Remember, I was chief of staff at the Department of Defense on January 6th. We said that we were ready, and the president had previously authorized the National Guard to be there days in advance. I spent 2 years, a small fortune, grand juries, to testify to the truth. And what happens now, years later? We were right. Bowser and Pelosi rejected that offer. And instead of figuring out how to prevent security lapses like that ever again, the American public spent tens of millions of dollars and countless hours on TV listening to conspiracy theories because those in positions of leadership failed to tell the American public the truth.
And recall that these folks all got pardons, right, that were on that committee?
Yep.
So
that's how you know it was legit.
And deleted a lot of information.
Yeah, that's how you know it was legit.
It's interesting. So, maybe they get something out there. In a second, we'll go to Dan Bongino. He's going to take on the Jeffrey Epstein issue, which is, I think, the one that really made the internet go, oh, come on.
I wish instead of the grandstanding and talking, they just give some action. You don't have to come talk. Just get some action. Let your actions speak for you.
Let's go to the phones, though, and talk to Andy. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Hey, good. Hey, I come down here from Auburn to the VA, and I really look forward to the station. Is there a way to get it on Alexa?
Yes. You just have to, and I have to do this every day. You have to just tell Alexa, play 93.1 News Talk. It'll end up coming through TuneIn, but you do get it.
And you can always get this show on YouTube at Joey Clark Live, and now Happy Hour does a stream.
That's right.
Just Happy Hour Greg Budell on YouTube as well.
I thanks to Amazon Day or whatever, I have like 20 Alexas around the house that make a great surround sound, but we listen to that a lot. So
good deal.
I have a lot on my mind, so don't mind cutting me short. I can't believe you just played the January 6th thing because that's what I was mainly calling about. But I have a fellow Knights of Columbus officer, older guy, sergeant major in the Army. That's what I'm about to say. I found out a lot about him. He was just National Guard, and there is a difference. No offense to anyone listening, but I had a lot of respect for this man, and he moved, I guess, because Trump became president, and to Costa Rica. And he'll find out very shortly in his old age about healthcare.
Yep.
But he's been blasting Trump almost daily, and I've kind of counter him a little bit, and I just get killed by some of his people on there about I'm a Trumper. I got a problem. I watch Fox News, and is there a sheet that you have? Because it seems like in the past 8 years, 12 years, news comes out, whether it's Rittenberg up in Seattle or the little kid that got yelled at by the Indian guy that was drumming. And it just seemed like anything that came out, if you just waited long enough, they were wrong. And when I have a little list I put together, and they always fire back with January 6th. It's like, guys, do you not remember you rioted daily? It's not you. I mean, I didn't do January 6th. I know they didn't do the riots, but it's almost like I don't hear anything about all the riots, all the burning of police stations, all the craziness. And Trump didn't go after them. Trump didn't do firing squads like Abraham Lincoln did to shut down these militias. Like Trump tried to handle it peacefully. I don't understand your hate. And I just want a list of like the 30 things, at first it was Russia and Trump. And then we found out that's a 180 of what it is. It's just, I don't understand, especially I think older people are wiser, not always, but we all get smarter as we have birthdays. And I just not believe these elderly people that are just blasting me. And, the whole my body, my choice, which I'm very against. But then during COVID, I'm told it doesn't, their damn one thing they're out there chanting does no longer apply for me, where it's actually, it just seems like such hypocrisy. And I can't, it's not about winning or losing.
Right.
it's just, I want to be able to defend myself and just list 20 things out there, the 30 things. Do you guys have anything like that on their page? If not, I highly recommend you do, of just like here's what you copy and paste just to shut them up, or at least, end all, so I don't have to get on there. And I know I do it to myself, but again, I'm just heartbroken that this man I respected thinks that. I will hang up and listen, and I appreciate y'all, and you guys will be on my 20 speaker Alexas later on.
Appreciate it, Andy.
Thank you, Eddie.
Man, and I'm feeling the pain. I'm feeling the frustration. I don't
We all have that.
I'm pretty certain that it exists on the internet. I've seen something that
I don't personally have that
very
list.
similar.
Well, and I don't think the thing is, from what he said, I don't think the list is going to convince him too
not.
much.
What did Trump say during the speech there? There's some things are just, no
Yes.
matter what I do,
Right.
just not going to be happy.
Yeah, and Andy, I'm sure there are many things about, say, accomplishments or here's where we are. But I'd imagine you could also find a lot of fun memes, and you can just respond with humor or respond with if it's somebody that you truly feel bad that you're being driven apart by this, maybe reach out and talk about something other than politics.
I've had to do that with several people where we disagree so much on current politics that we talk about everything else but that. And I know we both would love to kind of tell each other what we're thinking, but we both know that is we want to be friends. We want to continue being friends and not be turds to each other. So we don't talk about it.
Right.
We'll drop the occasional joke because we are friends, but we don't go into the talk of, mine is better than yours is better than mine type thing. Because it's just, at the end of the day, what's accomplished.
Well, and I'll admit, and it's not even admitting, it's just fact, my transformation over, say, the last 5, 6, 7 years. Because when Trump was first elected, I didn't vote for him. And I was the usual malcontented libertarian that, accomplishes nothing but has plenty to say.
And we love Joey.
And now I'm just more middle of the road, some sort of radical as accomplishes nothing and plenty to say. But what I noticed with Trump, the reason my mind changed wasn't one like particular policy thing. I mean, I'm not sure if Andy's friends will care, but I love the Trump administration's support for Bitcoin. That for me, this last election policy wise was like, oh my God, this is remarkable. As a libertarian, the pardon of Ross Ulbricht was fantastic. But it was more the narrative and watching the competing narratives.
Yes.
And watching the story unfold. To where, if you look back, essentially after Trump wins in 2016, he is framed for treason. Not by like the Democrats saying crap, but by the national security state. They use the powers of surveillance of the national security state, the prestige of the FBI, the CIA, and all these folks to essentially say for how long years that Trump is a puppet of Putin and Russia. Wasn't true. Wasn't true at all. But they start by doing that, framing him essentially for treason. They then don't give up. And you think Trump at his weakest is what? January 6th.
Okay.
No, seriously. I think that's where he's most vulnerable. That's when a lot of folks who had, like Liz Cheney, who had been sharpening their knives.
That's when they came to pounds, yeah.
Yes. And you remember when Trump announced for 24, he didn't seem like he had that energy. That was a very low energy press conference from Mar-a-Lago. And then the prosecutions start. Like the ridiculous prosecutions, like you've overvalued your properties. And even though all the banks that you work with who are really happy and want to do more business.
Do more business with you, yes.
Right. They still went after you anyway. Remember Fat Fanny raiding at Mar-a-Lago too, the FBI, the whole Jack Smith, the documents case, the conspiracy to commit insurrection or something. If he actually committed insurrection, they would just charge him with that. But it has to be a conspiracy, right?
You remember though when he came through Atlanta, how they turned out and celebrated Trump showing up?
Right.
That was a big turning point.
So it's like the system that I had long before Trump learned to loathe. The system hated this guy with a passion, had this antibody response that where they essentially had to, most of the time they turn up the dial to 6 or 7. Like they occasionally have to, George W. Bush is Hitler and a war criminal or something. He lied us into war. Like, But then we'll turn it back down. George W. Bush is a great statesman. He's palling around with Michelle Obama at somebody's funeral or something,
Yes.
So they would occasionally like turn it up to a 6 or a 7. But with Trump, they had to turn it up to like a 12. The dial only goes to 10. We're still turning it up to 12 anyway.
And rip off the knob. Yep.
And once you turned it up that much and you pulled all the stops and you had every which way to bring this, we can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, Trump, again, seems to be the guy who wants peace, not war.
Mm-hmm.
Americans have been voting for peace presidents for a while, and yet we always end up with more war. And Trump actually seems freaking serious about it. It's amazing. But it's really comes down to Trump revealed the rot in the system by just being him. He's not perfect by any means. He's an imperfect vessel.
By all means.
Oh, and don't forget that he almost had his brains blown out on national
live
TV.
They wanted to kill him in front of all of us.
All right.
On live TV.
I was about to ask.
There's no doubt.
All right. Who's they?
In my particular thoughts, it is a very much inside job. I won't say it's a Democrat Party or a Republican Party, but it's very much inside government. Not a doubt in my mind. Too many things, too many balls were just conveniently dropped.
Yep.
And some of them were just so obvious. You're like, come on, man. Ray Charles can see this.
Right. So I view Trump, and where I'm disappointed in the current Trump administration is they're not enough of a wrecking ball. And I know I'm not alone, but that's the reason I like him. He is this change agent that is actually, number one, willing to do what he says, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to that. And it is a bit of a bull in a china shop effect of where, all of a sudden the bull runs through a wall and you go, wait, I didn't even know there was a room back there. Like, what is that with the government? What are they up to? And I think it wakes a lot of people up. And then you add to this Elon Musk buying Twitter and it freeing up speech again, this surge in new technologies coming online, the big change with Silicon Valley backing Trump. He created a new coalition that's actually helping people lean in. So to me, it's not like about arguing this or that one particular policy. To me, it's more like, oh, he at least gets it that we need actual real change because the system we've had has been screwing over working people in particular for a long, long, long time in this country.
It's so flawed. You can start in any direction and try to attack it. And that's a justifiable course.
Yes. And then also at the end of the day, Trump is fun. He really is fun.
Pretty good dancer.
Yes. You get that sort of the garbage truck. Because of Tony Hinchcliffe making a frickin' joke.
I mean, could you have taken a more situation we thought was horrible?
Yeah.
And in 24 hours have it flipped for the better. I've never seen that in any situation besides a movie where you literally could have worst case scenario. And then, hey, wait a minute. They ran with a joke. Trump's getting off the garbage truck. Right. Everybody's loving it.
So for me, it's not like our good friend Jeff Dice will be joining us at 2:00. He's long been saying we're in post-persuasion America.
Yeah.
And so it's not the old days of what are your top 5 issues and how do you see these going? Like some people pretend that's still the game we're playing. I think what's going on more now is what narrative do you buy? And I think they're all a little false. We do the best we can in trying to understand really where reality's going, but nobody knows that, not even the most powerful people in the world. Who knows what's happening with AI, with the financial aspect of our economy?
That makes me very nervous.
What's going to happen with, can peace be had between Ukraine and Russia, between Israel and Palestine? What happens as China continues to rise? Like there's a lot of what if nobody knows. But I buy in much more to the story that this guy is a big wrecking ball change agent. And just by being himself for a little bit, just by shocking the system where nobody thought he could win, he became enemy number 1. And what's remarkable is he's convinced more and more folks. I would say this would be my main point. If you're out there listening, Andy, to the friend that moved to Costa Rica, to other folks, especially, old folks get set in their ways. Again, you're probably not going to change them. But I would point out that there are a lot of people who are lifelong Democrats who voted for Trump. We're not just voters for Democrats who raised money, donated, worked with Democrats. We're all on board. They voted for Obama not once, but twice.
Yep.
That a lot of folks have shifted. I saw Tim Pool making this point. saying when it comes to like trying to invite people that are Democrats on the show, they won't come on. They won't even talk to you. You will be punished.
Yes, I saw this.
As opposed to like Tim Pool can be invited on by Charlie Kirk, who's like hardcore conservative Christian, pro-life, and Tim Pool's what, a moderate kind of skateboarding, like libertarian, pro-choice, like all this stuff. You have all these different types of people. And yet they can all sit down for a debate, have these debates out, and then we're still on the same team.
Yeah. And when they have disagreements, nobody gets doxxed.
Right.
There's no calling you out on the media trying to get somebody canceled. You're able to talk about things.
There's a module of sincerity in what they say too. I don't think that anyone believes the progressive left on what they're saying, or they're not buying it anyway. They may believe it in a sort of delusional view or vantage point, but we're not buying as a society or a culture what they're selling anymore, or haven't been for a while.
You're right.
272-9228. Real quick, this part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson, the Goodson Group. And there at the Goodson Group, Bo and his team are ready to help you with buying or selling property here in the River Region real estate market. Could be you're also looking to rent out that property. And so at the Goodson Group, they not only help with buying and selling homes, they can, well, change that home you currently have over into a rental, make it a performing asset for you. And then the crown jewel there is the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, and the most highly acclaimed and accredited real estate programs here in the state. Whether you want to be a more knowledgeable private player or if you want to be a fully licensed real estate agent, you got to go with the Bo Goodson Real Estate School. Check them out today. You can always learn more online yourself there at thegoodsongroup.com or give them a call at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group, great sponsor here of the program. I'm just at the point that something's got to give. And I come back to that point of, hey, had to turn up the dial to 12. Another analogy I've heard is like we're watching an iron bowl, and instead of throwing a yellow flag on, like a penalty flag on the field, or throwing a, like, I guess they don't even do anymore, but the red challenge flag or whatever, all of a sudden the ref throws a black flag on the field. And you're like, what is that?
Game over.
No. And then he takes out a 9mm and shoots the strong safety in the chest. And then they put him on a stretcher. They wheel him off after they shot the strong safety dead. They pick up the black flag, and everybody goes back to like we're just playing football here.
What movie was this?
The Last Boy Scout.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the whole crowd's like, man, that was
a heck of a play.
Yeah. Everybody, and you're sitting there going, wait.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just shoot the strong safety. What the hell is that?
He was in the way, Joey. It made for a better game.
And so there were so many moments like that with Trump where you're like, well, okay, maybe this narrative we were told for the last, say, the boomer era was just wrong.
They tried to shoot the man in front of our faces,
Yeah.
and we just went ho-hum along with it.
Well, they did it before with another
It wasn't
president.
the single gunman. We know this narrative. They just released a long report about it after they told us for 50 years that a single gunman acted alone. Who was it? The same group of people who tried to kill the last guy.
Right.
And honestly, if you just read a little bit of, say, political history, it's not that shocking. This is what governments are.
But it's audacious.
This is what they do.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they would try to do it on our soil in broad daylight and not even disguise it in any other fashion than some kooky looking kid who's probably never, going camping a day in his life. He's going to assassinate the president all by himself.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Yep. Anyway, there's a lot of moments like that where you go, well, I don't know where it's all going, but I'm down for change. And heck, this change is a lot of fun at the same time.
Are we doing hope and change again? Or just
Yeah,
change?
man.
Can we just do change?
Oh, no. Hope died a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, I fell for that one time. Can we
Let's
just
do
do change this time?
Nope. Change.
We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Let's face it, what our customers say about our business is the most important advertising tool. Here at Adams Drugs, we love our customers. We're here with Al and Amy Steinecker, Adams Drugs customers. Amy, please tell us how easy it was to transfer your prescriptions to Adams Drugs in the big box store.
It was one of the easiest things I've ever done. I went into the pharmacy on Bond Road and spoke with the pharmacist and told him we had not been happy where we'd been and would love to transfer our prescriptions. And he said, I'll be happy to call them. And that was that. And now when I call, I just say I need to have a prescription filled. And it's just that simple.
Al, what has your customer service been like at Adams Drugs?
It's amazing. You walk in, you're not standing in a line. They speak to you, call you by name, and say, what do you need today, Al or Mr. Steinecker? It's wonderful. It doesn't get any better.
Please come into any Adams Drugs location and let us earn your business. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest you. Adams Drugs is your independently owned Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED. But Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. Recently, I met with 3 different owners of homes who had the same problem. They wanted to sell their house quick and sell it as is for cash. All 3 people were approached by different investors that said they had cash for their home, signed contracts, only to find out they were not personally going to buy their homes, but to find a buyer willing to pay more than they offered and pocket the difference. It's called wholesaling. Offer a contract to buy a house at a certain price, up to price to other buyers, and pocket the difference. I urge you, don't fall for it. You want to sell your home quick, use a licensed professional realtor, as I have been for 48 years, keeping promises to get homes sold quick. For all the details, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our wet and stormy forecast continues today with showers and thunderstorms. A good bet, just about any time, really. Some of the storms today and tomorrow could be strong, possibly severe. Damaging wind gusts would be the main threat. High today and tomorrow in the low to mid 80s, very humid. Low tonight down to about 68. A frontal system swings through the state on Friday, and behind it, some very nice air for the weekend with lower humidity, comfortable days, cooler nights, and lots of sunshine. Hang on. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Eddie had to scoot. Byron Sheehy's still here in the studio with me. And let's go right to the phones and talk to Cameron. Hey, Cameron, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm enjoying y'all's discussion.
Thank you, sir.
I just had a couple quick points that might make you feel better.
Okay, go ahead.
By all means.
Number one, simplicity is the elixir of progress. Agreed?
Sure.
Trump is a strategist. When he sat down across from Putin, he basically said, guys, I want the killing to stop, which left only one position for Ukraine or Russia, that they want the killing to continue. And in legal terms, it's called a fait accompli, which is I love the saying. It was given to me early in life. All it means is it's already decided. It's done. So the United States needs to realize we are not a no-wake zone. We need change or we're going to be written off by history. And change requires a wake. But Trump's going to make a wake.
There you go.
I hope that makes you feel better.
No, it does. And I'm generally feeling all right. Byron's having a little trouble today.
Yeah, I still can't help but feel like that government's the anchor around our neck.
Yeah.
You need a couple examples, recent.
Okay.
Well, the first one is Darmeet. She is the Assistant Attorney General. She took Trump's executive orders and translated them into directions for her division. And if I remember correctly, it's online on an interview. Half of her lawyers resigned.
Yep.
She basically said, okay, good choice, because that's what we were going to do. So I hope that is one thing. The other one was an interview, and I'm sorry I don't have her name, but the Secretary of Education.
Linda McMahon.
Thank you so much. She comes from a small business background, and I heard her in an interview, and I tell you, she's part of Trump's coming wake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, and Linda was, she was co-chair with Howard Lutnick, who's now Commerce Secretary for the whole transition. Linda's the one who wrote most of those executive orders across the government. And it wasn't just small business. She was the business brains, essentially operated the business of WWE. She's Vince McMahon's wife, and she ran more the corporate side of things. And, you know, he goes from a multi-million-dollar company to a multi-billion publicly traded company. And I think the woman knows what she's doing to a large degree. Now, there's a lot of very positive signs. I love, in particular, the embrace of Bitcoin and taking all the threats and shackles off of that new innovation. I do love the push for peace, as you just said, how he puts in this basic binary where he's essentially boxing people in. And I love how he's going his own way. He'll put Israel on the back foot for a second, be like, hey guys, like he's again reinstituting, say, some American strength where you don't know quite what he's going to do next. I think the sticking point is just it's the Congress, and we'll see if they can get through this log jam at this point.
Can I speak to Bitcoin real quick?
Sure.
Facts are going to matter because there's not going to be a political side. As you mentioned in your conversation just earlier, Bitcoin is going to be somebody sitting down and looking at the facts, right? Globally. And then they'll vote with their Bitcoin. So how we behave as a nation economically is very important for that Bitcoin related future.
Yep.
So we got to get on the stick. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and they're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that great team are ready to help you with any and all of your pest control needs. Get on a regular schedule with them. Get to know them, and they come out and give you that basic pest control need. It could be maybe something comes up, like there's a wasp's nest back in the shed that you didn't notice. Oh, God. Or it could be you want to get termite protection and inspection year-round. Of course, they can help you out there, and they specialize in getting rid of those nasty, nasty mosquitoes. And it's not like they just show up once. You got to hassle them to come back. You have to remember. No, they get you on a regular plan. So they're coming out about 8 times a year to make sure those mosquitoes aren't troubling you. You can actually enjoy your backyard or the front porch.
I waited too late.
I know.
Man, they're already
eating you up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're about the size of dragonflies.
I know. They're just gross creatures. So if you actually want to get rid of them, Pest Pro Services can help you out. You can always learn more at ppsriverregion.com or just search for Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. But I encourage you just call them direct, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. When you want to know, call a pro, Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell Ashley and that great team that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, how has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Pestruccelli, General Sales Manager and co-owner of Blue Water Broadcasting. For over 21 years, Blue Water Broadcasting has been a proud part of the River region. We're not just a company, we're your neighbors. Our owners, air staff, account executives, and support team all live right here. We believe in this community, and we stand by our slogan, Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. This part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing, and they're at Cole Plumbing. They are ready to help you with any and all of your plumbing needs. Could be an everyday problem like low water pressure. That's no fun, especially if you're trying to wash that luxurious hair of yours like Trump. Or it could be a clogged drain. You know, Drano ain't going to fix most of those clogs. You're just going to destroy your pipes. Get the true pros out there from Cole Plumbing. They can help you out. Could be a big problem like a gas line leak, big water leak inside or outside your home. They have the technology that allows them to solve that problem with minimal discomfort to you in your home. That means they're not going to have to tear out a bunch of drywall inside or dig up a huge hole outside. No, again, with precision and expertise, they can solve that problem. And of course, they can also help you upgrade. Say you want to go to a tankless water heater system, or you just need a new water heater. Maybe you want a taller toilet, new accessories in the kitchen or the bathroom. They can help you with all of that in terms of upgrades. So check them out today. You can always learn more at coleplumbing.com. Even make an appointment online at coleplumbing.com or just save their number, 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl,
call on Cole.
Let's go to Thunder. Hey, Thunder, how you doing?
I am doing well. I tell you what, it's been an interesting conversation today. Sorry about the voice. It's decided to go away for a little while. I want to go back to the Donald Trump issue. And everybody tries to sit down and figure out what in the world is going on with the media. Here it is. They are angry, and they are treating him with nothing but contempt and hatred because they cannot control him.
Yeah.
They cannot buy him, and they cannot use enough negative terms about him to make him shut up and go away, because he's not going to do that. He is just not going to do that. In fact, I think he feeds sometimes off of their anger, which actually makes him a better person and a better president. Then I want to look at this abortion issue that the gentleman several minutes ago brought up. And this is how I treat those women who say, my body, my choice. I step back, I take a long look at them up and down, and I look at them straight in the face and say, too bad your mother didn't believe in abortion. And then I turn around and walk off.
Damn. That's harsh.
That it has to be reality. And unfortunately, just as they are treating Donald Trump with the level of harshness they are treating him, the level of harshness they treated the people of January the 6th that were just in Washington to enjoy a day, the level of treatment that people in school board meetings and defending their children and the anti-trans movement are concerned, this is a level of harshness that we have to give back. Either we push back or they continue. If we stay soft and let them continue, then this is the hell that we are going to face. And I refuse to face it. And if it means that it is harsh, that I have looked at some young woman who espouses her belief in determination in abortion. First of all, honey, you don't have to get pregnant. Nobody's forcing you to get pregnant. Just don't get pregnant. Do whatever it takes. Don't get pregnant.
But what about the sex?
Not my problem. There are ways to keep from getting pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Plenty of them. So therefore, don't get pregnant. And if you do get pregnant and you decide to murder a child, be prepared to face the disgust and disdain of women who have no use for you, that you deliberately got pregnant just so that you could get an abortion. I don't have any use for you. And don't expect me to approve of it, because I'm not going to. I will look at you and I will tell you, too bad your mother didn't believe in abortion. And I'll walk away. Maybe harsh. They'll get over it. And if they don't get over it, I don't care.
Well,
y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Thunder. Well, and I would also say there's the harsh, like the brutal truth sort of approach. That can work. If Andy's still listening, I would also suggest, especially if it's somebody, it's a friend or, God forbid, a family member. I remember seeing this with my father and my grandfather. My dad would watch Fox. My granddaddy would watch CNN, and they'd sit there and argue like crazy at every family get together. And it was like, I finally one day looked at both of them. I said, guys, are y'all like in charge of something I don't know about? Because really, at the end of the day, we're like spectators. Right. And it's one thing to be an avid, like, Auburn or Alabama fan, and you're really worked up about the Iron Bowl. It might ruin your fall if they lose the Iron Bowl. That's fine. But then you're not on the field.
Yeah. When you show up and go to practice, that's when it adds a little bit more sting.
And there's a lot of things that people should be friends about, that people can maintain relationships with, that have nothing to do with politics. And in fact, I've been very worried that the more our society becomes political, the worse things will get, not the better.
Well, I believe it was Jeff's comment. I mean, it's a post-opinion world.
Yeah, post-persuasion America, yeah.
At that point, everybody's got their opinion.
Well, and that's where you have to start getting to know people on a different basis. Just do a runaround, the whole like bashing your heads against each other.
If we don't try to find common ground at the beginning of a conversation, we're never going to find middle ground.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you should, and then some things are so absolute, there's no compromise.
There you go. Got to hit this top of the hour break. Before we do, this entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon are ready to help you, whether you're looking to purchase a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, or maybe you dealt with like a big bank or, God forbid, one of these online companies and things didn't go as well as you had hoped. Last time you went through the process, go with great local folks that you can trust that will walk you through the home buying process swimmingly. From pre-approval, that's the first step. Do not skip that step, all the way to closing day. And of course, it can also help you with a great refinance deal to get debt off your back, especially credit card debt. God forbid, some of these APRs, 32%, 35%, 29%. Like, it's ridiculous. So why not, if you want to get that debt off your back, you can use equity built up in your home, or maybe you want to get down monthly overhead costs if you're in retirement or close to retirement. Whatever your goal, they can help you there with a great refinance deal at Alabama Home Mortgage. So call them up today. That number, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. We should have Jeff Deist joining us after top of the hour break.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. The White House says Israel has accepted a new U.S. proposal for a temporary ceasefire. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump submitted the ceasefire proposal that Israel has backed and supported. But Leavitt said that talks are continuing and Hamas has not yet accepted terms of the proposal. Arkansas authorities looking at whether a prison kitchen job played a role in the escape of a convicted former police chief known as the Devil in the Ozarks. Grant Hardin was housed in a maximum security wing of the Calico Rock prison from which he escaped over the weekend. The FBI offering now a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to his arrest. On Wall Street, the Dow dropping 23 points, but the NASDAQ composite is ahead 5. This is SRN News.
Dennis Prager here for Equity Protect, the company that completely prevents home title theft and fraud. I've met Jim and Ryan, the owners of Equity Protect. They started Equity Protect because title fraud and equity theft are direct threats to American consumers, especially if you own your home free and clear or have high equity. Most title lock companies merely monitor your title, then let you know once fraud has occurred. Equity Protect is simply better. Equity Protect completely stops any attempts to steal your home equity and ownership. Get your free risk assessment at equityprotect.com. If you're low risk, sign up for their free monitoring service. If you're medium to high risk, get their full protection. For a limited time, my listeners can get 30% off your first year with the discount code Prager30. Go to equityprotect.com/Prager. That's equityprotect.com/Prager, or call 888-213-2959. That's 888-213-2959.
Rich Thomas weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our wet and stormy forecast continues today with showers and thunderstorms. A good bet just about any time, really. Some of the storms today and tomorrow could be strong, possibly severe. Damaging wind gusts would be the main threat. High today and tomorrow in the low to mid 80s, very humid. Low tonight down to about 68. A frontal system swings through the state on Friday, and behind it, some very nice air for the weekend with lower humidity, comfortable days, cooler nights, and lots of sunshine. Hang on. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE's 25 and 25 has you covered. For just $25 in closing costs, you can tap into your home's equity. No hidden fees, no headaches, just extra cash. Visit your local ASE Credit Union branch today. Federally insured by NCUA. NMLS 420259. Terms apply.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
ASE, an equal housing lender.
1819 News.
Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall is throwing his hat into the ring when it comes to the U.S. Senate seat that will be vacated by Tommy Tuberville in 2026. Marshall is completing 2 full terms as the Attorney General for Alabama and cannot run again for that office. Marshall says his record as Attorney General for the past 8 years makes it abundantly clear how he would take action in Washington, D.C. Marshall says the nation needs strong conservative leadership that is able to advance President Trump's agenda. Former U.S. Navy SEAL Jared Hudson has also announced his plan to run for the same Senate seat as Marshall. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Alabama Unfiltered Radio, and when I need the news and I need it fast, I turn to Andrea Tice and the Daily Detail. On my way in, it is the most convenient, best way for me to digest what's going on so that I can use it for our show. She tells you what's going on in Alabama that day first and fast. So listen to the Daily Detail with Andrea Tice. Don't miss out.
The Daily Detail is available wherever podcasts are found.
The National Weather Service is confirming that a small tornado touched down at Redstone Arsenal this past Tuesday night. The EF0 twister packed 83-mile-per-hour winds and was on the ground for about 2 minutes. It damaged fencing and tossed around multiple 500-pound storage tanks. No injuries were reported. A Muscle Shoals woman is paralyzed from the chest down after a tree fell on her car during severe storms that occurred on May 20th. 28-year-old Angel Gatry was driving her son and brother when the storm suddenly intensified and a tree fell on her vehicle on Reservation Road. Gatry's passengers were unharmed, but she was trapped in that car and seriously injured. Gatry is now recovering after spinal surgery at Vanderbilt Hospital. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Independent Glass has been your one-stop shop for all things glass since 1978. They offer a full range of architectural products, and they're armed with the knowledge and expertise to get even the most demanding job done, big or small. Attention to detail, 24-hour replacement services, and their uncompromising commitment to excellence is why Montgomery's first choice for all things glass is Independent Glass. Call them today at 263-2823 and learn more about what they can do for you at independentglassco.com.
Home Free live in concert. Home Free and their 5 amazing voices captured the world as they mixed Nashville's standards with country dip pop hits. All vocal country band Home Free bring their tour to the MPAC in Montgomery on Saturday, June 7th. Home Free live, June 7th at Montgomery Performing Arts Center. Tickets are available now at Ticketmaster.com or mpaconline.org. For more information, visit homefreemusic.com.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Final hour here of the program. And joining us for his weekly visit, always appreciate this gentleman's time. He was president of the Mises Institute there in Auburn, Alabama for about 10 years. Chief of staff for Ron Paul for a time. He's now there at Monetary Metals. We have Jeff Deist joining us. Jeff, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, Joe, doing well. How are you?
Very good. Now, I want to preface this by saying I've been watching a lot of the Las Vegas Bitcoin conference, so I might be a little hyped up. But I almost see this as like, this is the sound money Hail Mary. Like, if we can get the system, this decrepit old banking system and fiat system, to start adopting this stuff, in a way, it might be a brilliant jujitsu move to take them down and bring in an era of sound money. Is that too over the top, or what say you?
It's a little over the top. Look, I think at this point, most people are buying Bitcoin either as a speculative play to sell it for a capital gain, or they're buying it to hold it for the very long term. Maxi's thinking it's going to go to 200,000 or 500,000 or $1 million or whatever. What most people are not buying it to do is buy stuff, especially day-to-day stuff, which was the original promise of Bitcoin. It was a frictionless, permissionless money that people could exchange wherever they were on Earth. Some African farmer in the middle of nowhere, as long as he had a phone and satellite access, he wouldn't need to go to the bank to engage in commerce. That was the original promise of it. It was peer-to-peer money. And it sort of lost that. If you look at this conference, the main topic is not that. That was the original vision, and that's changed a lot. So now it's become this sort of store of value, this base layer of money, kind of almost like what we call M0 when in fiat currencies. And so, it's changed a lot. But if you think about it, it's still early days, and if it really were money, you wouldn't need a conference, right? You would just use it. We don't have a dollar conference. So it's still pretty new in that people are still getting their heads around it.
Now, I'm almost wondering about the classical gold standard. I imagine that is iterated over time to where eventually governments of the world adopt this. The banking system had already been running on it. I'm just looking at the current monetary systems, and better than me, these things are a mess. It really screws over working folks in particular, but a lot of other problems come out of it. What would be the process, whether it's gold or Bitcoin or maybe a combination, anything else, to where we get back to sound money? I think it will kind of be this give and take with governments and with different, say, private players.
I think it would require people acting outside of government rules. In other words, to start transacting. Let's say corporations did this, or certain governments allowed it, and then other governments were forced to. As a competitive measure. It's not just going to happen at the behest of Uncle Sam or the European Commission or the Chinese government or anybody like that. In other words, governments have deep vested interests in maintaining their own currencies, right? The currencies are a political tool. They allow governments to do all kinds of things, number one of which is to spend more than they bring in taxes, which is pretty nice. You're right. Politicians like that a lot. That's how you win. That's how you get votes. That's how you give out favors. So any sort of redeemable money, where the unit itself represents a claim to gold or Bitcoin or something like that, is going to put a limit on that insatiable desire of politicians to spend and buy votes. So that's always going to be politically tough. But you could say the same thing about Uber, which was adopted in sort of an agorist fashion, right? The taxi cab companies didn't want it. The cities and municipalities didn't want it. It just sort of developed a tech that was superior and slid into a few cities. And before they knew it, it was popular, and it was tough to regulate at that point. But no, I don't think we're going to go back to a classical gold standard as much as we might like that, because governments are profligate. They want to spend, and if a dollar represents a certain amount of gold, for example, then that would limit their spending, because you can't just pull gold up out of the ground that easily.
Right.
And so it's the idea of it, the idea that we could have some sort of commodity type standard backing money in a digital era with digital apparatus, I think is still very appealing, right? We all want that. We all want a money that doesn't devalue, especially if you ever want to retire.
Yeah, and it just seems, though, if more corporations are starting to say, they don't go full Michael Saylor Maxi, but they start using Bitcoin as partially part of their reserves, they start essentially holding some value that way. It almost, to me, is a signal that we really don't trust the government to actually get their house in order. Like, that seems to be the sentiment. And I was listening to the Trump brothers yesterday evening at that conference, And they said they're very late to the whole crypto Bitcoin thing because their hand was essentially forced. They were debanked in so much of their business. They had to find some alternative. And I'm wondering that combination of people being debanked, as well as folks just looking around going, I'm sitting on all this money and I'm barely keeping up with inflation with all the traditional vehicles. It just seems like it's a vote with money to say, hey, the current system's not working. We got to find an alternative. And that probably doesn't bode well for the incumbents right now who like the current system.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of using it as money, as a store of value, is interesting because, as I said, people are either doing it as a long-term hold or they're doing it as a speculative play to get a big gain and sell it. Yeah. But if you look at companies like you mentioned, Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy company, they want to hold it as a treasury asset, as a almost a monetary asset on the balance sheet. The problem is that the accounting rules don't allow that. The accounting rules around Bitcoin have changed. Now you treat it as a capital asset, an investment type asset, no different than if a company held, let's say, Apple stock. And so you mark the value to market every month in your accounting books. It used to not be that way. So a lot of people grumbled because they had Bitcoin on the balance sheet of their company and it had gone up quite a bit. And they were still required under accounting rules to maintain that the value of it at what they had paid. Whereas now they can mark it every month at its current fair market value. Now that's wonderful as long as number go up. If number go down, you got to mark it down. So Michael Saylor's taking a gamble, and what he's doing is he's effectively leveraging his company to be a play where a little bit of stock could get you a bigger upside than a little bit of Bitcoin. For example, he's basically acting like a currency issuer. In other words, as long as the shareholders approve, MicroStrategy can basically issue as much stock as it cares to, common stock. That's a lot like issuing a fiat currency. And so when people would say to him, gee, you're doing exactly what Uncle Sam's doing, he would say, well, no, I'm not, because the underlying asset of Bitcoin is going up faster than inflation. Right? That's his argument. That's his defense, is that no, because MicroStrategy stock is essentially a claim to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is rising in price, in nominal US dollar price, faster than what's the official rate of inflation today? They probably say it's 3 or 4. It's probably really 8. But I digress. But so it's an interesting argument. But MicroStrategy is a public company. That means they have many thousands of individual investors. That means they have to file everything they do with the SEC, file quarterly and annual reports. So it's quite regulated when you become a public company. And if number go down a lot, then he's going to have some very, very, very unhappy investors on his hand, because that won't be based on the performance of the company itself. It'll be based solely on the Bitcoin price and Michael Saylor's individual decision to make MicroStrategy basically a Bitcoin proxy.
Now, the peer-to-peer cash system aspect of this, and I'm not smart enough to come up with this myself. And the first person I heard really talk about this was Saifedean Ammous, that it might not be that you use Bitcoin to buy that coffee, but Bitcoin would be the currency, the final settlement, like a final cash settlement. In the same way, a lot of people, when gold was backing things, weren't using gold necessarily to buy stuff every day. They were still using banknotes. I mean, what do you make of that, especially as you hear the Trumps talk about it, and a lot of these folks, they believe this is a better way than the SWIFT system and a lot of these other payment systems in the traditional system, that we can build a new digital economy with Bitcoin being that say, anchor, that final settlement.
Well, look, I'll take it for the very simple reason that settlement layer for transactions, whether that's between individuals, companies, cross-border, between governments, between central banks, all the way up, that would be not controlled by any government. In other words, the blockchain ledger is distributed, is decentralized, and so when people spend or settle in Bitcoin, it's transparent. Everyone can see where it's going, and there's no government that can come along and say, we're taxing that or whatever it might be. So, they could try, but it's not. The ledger itself is not a creation of government. It's not controlled by any single government. It exists in millions and millions and millions of nodes on private computers and farms all over the world. So it is decentralized in that sense. And so, you can't politically come along with that kind of system and say, Russia is a really rogue state. And so we're going to freeze all their assets, which is what Uncle Sam did, which is pretty serious. I mean, that's a pretty serious act of aggression. You can argue about whether it's justified for their invasion of Ukraine, but I'm just saying it's a pretty serious step. So, Russia found a lot of its assets seized, and not just the Russian government, but Russian individuals with, let's say, USA bank accounts. So, this would depoliticize money. That was a phrase that Friedrich Hayek wrote about, the denationalization of money. And it would be absolutely an epic game changer.
Yeah, I would encourage. It's a little wonky, but his book, The Denationalization of Money, it's fantastic, especially seeing in the light of he didn't know about this technology had not been created yet. But his descriptions of the different types of money people want really, I think, informs this conversation.
Yeah, and even though he's a German, he spent some time at London School of Economics, so he spells it with an S instead of a Z. So, you got to watch these crowds all the time.
Now, shifting gears real quick, what do you make of this court ruling, this 3-judge panel saying Trump can't do the tariffs the way he did the tariffs? Man,
I mean, look, part of me says, gee whiz, tariffs are taxes. The Constitution says taxes have to arise, and not just in Congress, but in the House, not even in the Senate side. And that was a big to-do with the Obamacare bill, was the penalty, a tax. Remember that big brouhaha that ultimately made its way to the same Chief Justice Roberts-led Supreme Court, by the way, although that seems like ages ago now. But I'm also, I guess, sensitive to the argument that the bureaucratic administrative state has grown so enormously since the time the Constitution was written. What are we even talking about? I mean, if an executive can't come in and undo some of this, then what can ever be done? Because we all know what Congress is all about. So I will say that I suspect that 99.999% of the world, including Americans, has never heard of the U.S. Court of International Trade. Right. Whatever it is, wherever it is, it came out of nowhere today, and I assume it is a trial or the equivalent of a trial or district level court in D.C. And I assume it's administrative as opposed to like a district court with juries. But beyond that, I don't know much about it, and I do have a lot of sympathy for the idea that judges have way too much power in at the federal level, and that these guys have become unelected lifetime. Essentially super legislators who can, who can make law, craft law, not just declare law unconstitutional and send it back to Congress, for example, remand it. But they're in effect making law. And I think that's 100% true. I think in famous cases like Roe v. Wade, right? I think that's where they set up the trimester system law. I think that was the Supreme Court legislating an outcome on abortion, which I don't think is its role, regardless of how you feel about abortion. And I think we got the same thing here. I think when a president wins an election, they get some deference over the executive branch, to put it mildly. Now he's not getting it.
And I already went on a little bit of a rant earlier today about people who cite the Constitution. When I heard Ron Paul, or I hear Senator Rand Paul, or I hear Mike Lee, I hear a few people cite the Constitution. I think they really mean it. They truly, really mean it, and they're consistent about it, even when it's politically unpopular. But often when I hear folks saying it's the Constitution this, the Constitution that, it's so selective to where we have stretched this document in so many different ways. Here's an example that happened this week. Mark Levin wrote an old man screed. It was almost like a David Stockman-esque sort of screed. Not as maybe erudite as Stockman. But Levin's like, any agreement with Iran must go through the Senate. This is the constitutional process for a treaty and all this stuff. And a lot of folks very quickly pointed out, hey, Mark, what about declaring war? Shouldn't you get a declaration of war before you can, bomb another country halfway across the world? And it's that's just a perfect example of this game that's played all the time these days with our system.
Well, I encourage Mark Levin to retire and take care of his health before he blows a gasket. His voice is not needed on this nor any other matter ever again. So yeah, it is very selective. It's enormously selective. And let's not forget that our friends on the left used to be hugely pro-tariff. I mean, they used to be the party of the union, the union organizer, the working man, the steel worker, the auto worker, the police or firefighters union. That was the Democratic Party, and they believed in trade protectionism. So let's not be too select in our memories here as to who was for what. Trump has always been a protectionist. He's always been a pro-tariff guy. Even before he started to think about running for president in 2015, he has always been that way. And I think that's part of the DNA of a typical New Yorker, right? It's a union town when we think of it historically. Skyscrapers, bridges, police, fire, Teamsters, right? That's what we think of in New York and New Jersey. So I don't know why anybody's surprised. Now, I also think from having watched some of the Discovery Channel, maybe it was the History Channel, did a very multi-series biography of Trump. And he really is a zero-sum guy. He really thinks in terms of there's a winner and a loser. And since the GATT agreement, which was the Global Agreement on Tariffs and Trade coming out of World War II, was designed to help Europe rebuild itself, for example. The tariffs against the U.S. were generally higher than the tariffs that we impose on our European counterparts. And that has remained, even though World War II is now, 80 years past. Right. And so from a zero-sum win-lose mindset like Trump, that's unfair. And the answer to that is raising tariffs to equalize things, at least, or to punish, raise them higher, let's say, than our counterparts. And I do think that he legitimately believes that that's good for the working class American.
Yeah, and he's been consistent about it. I mean, you can see him on with Oprah, in the early 90s, late 80s. He's been this way the whole time, and at least there's something to that. And I want to finish with this. I always peruse your X account, or formerly known as Twitter, and you had a good retweet today from Fisher King, the whole Trump is Hitler thing. And this has been bothering me as well, not just like folks on the left who are like, we're always fighting the next Hitler. And I guess that's a proxy for the devil. I mean, sometimes I hear it from folks on the right. It's like we're part of this righteous battle of good against evil, and we're, of course, on the right side of that battle. And I just find myself more in the camp of that good versus evil thing. It goes straight through the heart of every person. If you think good's only on your side and evil's only on the other side, that's just history's too messy, too complicated. Life's too messy, too complicated for this sort of nonsense. And yet it's still... I'm hoping this goes away the further we get through or get away from the World War II. That's further in the rearview mirror. It's not just policy changes of tariffs. The whole narrative, we need to find a different way of actually justifying ourselves instead of saying we're always the good guys and, of course, the other side's pure evil. It just seems to create awful outcomes for politics and many other things.
No, it's terrible rhetoric. It's childish and it's self-serving to portray your political opponents as Nazis. I mean, the Nazi party disbanded in 1945 in the summer. There haven't been any Nazis since 1945. And so to call people that is not only trivializes things, but it shows you as an unserious person, a hysterical person. And we get this from the right as well. Everyone isn't a commie. I mean, there's a very technical and literal definition of communism, right? In theory and in practice. And I don't think Chuck Schumer fits that. He's vile and corrupt, but you can be that without being a commie. And so it's really, I think, the result of so many Americans not only being deeply divided politically, but just not having meaningful family or career lives, that they need to latch on to a cause and they need to live an overtly political life. And I think that's a bad sign for America. People should be worried about their kid's soccer game and their mortgage and getting that promotion at work and what we're going to take to the potluck on Sunday. That's what people should be worried about. We shouldn't have to lead these hyper politicized lives where we have a hair trigger temper and we're constantly scanning the news for the latest outrage. That's not healthy for society. And if government simply did even a fraction of what it was supposed to do, fix potholes and stop doing so many things it isn't supposed to do, like remake Afghanistan, if we just had a reasonably, under control government, then we would grumble about it, I'm sure, and not like taxes, but we would go about our lives. We wouldn't be so hyper political, and it's not a good way to live.
Now, I said that was the last one, but if you have time, I've got I would love to talk to you about a little bit the Alabama news breaking, where Tommy Tuberville's officially announced as governor. He's going to run for governor. He probably will be the next governor unless something crazy happens. This also leaves a wide open Senate race for 2026. It's early, but what do you make of this upcoming election year here in Alabama?
It does. And, Bruce Pearl's name, our basketball coach, is being forwarded. Now, he's not really an Alabamanian. I mean, he's very much a East Coast kind of guy. But he's been here long enough, and he's beloved in the Auburn community. I will say I'm very pleased that Tuberville is going to have a private event at Byron Smokehouse, which is my favorite little spot here in Auburn, and I go there all the time. And let's just say it is not a 5-star venue. He's not holding this at Mar-a-Lago or the Plaza Hotel. Byron's is a little downscale from that, and it's my kind of place. So, I think governor and Senate are two very, very different things, two very different skill sets. Kay Ivy's got to go. She's been there way too long, and I can't imagine Tuberville would not be an improvement on that. I think she's terrible personally, but I don't know enough about Bruce Pearl to say how he would be in the Senate. I'd like to see a good field of 5 or so candidates, so that we don't have to just get another coach that we don't know too much about.
Yeah, right. So far, Steve Marshall, I think, announced today, the current attorney general here of the state, he's running for Senate. And a guy named Jared Hudson, who's a former Navy SEAL, he runs a nonprofit group that rescues folks from child abuse, child trafficking, very Christian identity forward, speaks about his faith very openly. Young guy. I don't know what his chances will be, what sort of money's backing him, but that's already 2 in that race. And I think a crowded competitive race for Senate would be a healthy thing. I just wonder, what is BCA and Alpha and the Shelby wing, and Senator Britt herself won't probably say anything publicly, but what is that wing of Alabama politics going? Who are they going to land behind is probably going to get the push.
I mean, imagine just like that, Katie Britt will be the senior senator in Alabama. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, shocking. Well, I always appreciate your time, Jeff. If folks want to follow you, how can they do so?
Well, I don't want them to follow me literally, like behind my car.
Yeah, don't recommend that.
But they can follow me via Twitter, all one word, at Jeff Deist.
Well, appreciate it. We'll do it again soon. Thank you, sir.
See you guys.
Again, folks, that is Jeff Deist. Always appreciate his time. And it's interesting how, like, simpatico, like we were making some of these points earlier in the program, but it's especially how political everything has become. And, it's one thing if that is like, it's your sport, like you're a fan of it. It's like you're watching wrestling or whatever, or football or whatever. But when it becomes like, I'm going to ruin my family relationships, I'm going to do it. Yeah, that's a big deal.
A lot of times it is zero sum. I mean, you either come out a winner or a loser, on top or absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I hate to see folks that, like, why are you letting this drive you apart? Now, Thunder brought up earlier the whole abortion question. There are certain, obviously, moral questions that are, I would say, deeper than the political aspect. Like, what's the legal regime around abortion? Like the actual question of the practice. And there are many things like that in life that, of course, will be not only controversial, that really can drive people apart. And I'm not surprised by that. That will always be in life. But, the who you vote for, what's your opinion of the latest thing? You should have your opinion if you enjoy this stuff. It's good to be informed.
Yeah, you can have your opinion.
But often what's true is not found in the daily news. What's true is usually found in a really good old book. Or it's found spending time with the people you love and not even saying a damn word.
Amen. Real purpose. Real.
You just showed me a photo on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Where it's your little niece. It was the first time she saw the Gulf of America. And you're holding her hand. You're all right there on the coast.
I showed it to someone else about 30 minutes before I walked in this building. I mean, it was a very proud, happy moment.
And we're sitting here putting words to it and talking about it. But how could words ever get close to the actual moment?
Can't.
Right. So there's a lot of stuff like that I think as we become more about bombarded by messages all day, every day in the new social media world and new technology, as well as all the political messaging, it's good to be reminded that I think the most important things are not what you say. It's the things you do and who you do them with.
How you stand, what you stand for.
So how about this? Let's hit a break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit AlabamaSheriffsYouthRanches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women. For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home. From troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
Good morning. Do you have time for lunch today? My treat.
Absolutely. But what's the occasion?
I'm in love with the new 24/7 Express kiosk at Worth Cleaners. The kiosk is so easy to use, and I can drop off and pick up on my schedule. Thank you for sharing that tip with me.
You're welcome. I'm happy to have my lunch buddy back.
Have you tried the new Worth Cleaners 24/7 Express kiosk? This is the first service of its kind in Montgomery. Customers love the convenience of dropping off and picking up dry cleaning and laundry on their schedule, day or night, 365 days a year. Even if you've never used Worth Cleaners before, you can go to their location at 7825 Vaughn Road today and use their 24/7 Express kiosk. Instructions along with several descriptive photos are posted on the wall next to the kiosk to aid customers who are first-time users. Give it a try. Visit our Vaughn Road location or find Worth Cleaners on Facebook for more information. Your family's clothing is worth it.
Put the power of Action 8 News in the palm of your hand. Download the free Action 8 News app to stay on top of breaking news wherever you are. Search for WAKA News in your app store to download the Action 8 News app today. Keep your family safe by watching Action 8 News. Look for 8 on Your Side consumer alerts with product recalls involving cars, food, children's toys, and other items in your home. 8 on Your Side, keeping you safe only on Action 8 News.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Alabama weather will never fail to surprise you. Our lawns hardly get a chance to have any downtime. And as usual, it's already time to start getting ready for summer. This year, save the hard work and aggravation and call Alabama Lawns, the River Region's leader in weed control and fertilization services. What makes Alabama Lawns the River Region's best? It's the people. They have the experience, education, and commitment to customer satisfaction. Ask your neighbors. Alabama Lawns has been the Montgomery Advertiser's Reader's Choice Award winner 13 years in a row. The Alabama Lawns staff is made up of long-term employees and agronomy graduates, and the staff at Alabama Lawns attend annual continuing education classes. It pays to have someone that knows southern grass types and how to keep them green and flourishing. Call Alabama Lawns today at 272-7171 and let them show you real value in a lawn maintenance service. Alabama Lawns, the company with black trucks and green lawns. 272-7171.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. The risk of showers and thunderstorms continues in the forecast, not only this evening and tonight, but also during the day on Friday as well. Some of the storms, again, could be strong, possibly severe. Low tonight, upper 60s, high Friday in the low to mid 80s. We have some much better news about the weekend. Expect some lower humidity, comfortable days, cooler nights, lots of sunshine. It's a nice change on the way. Hang on. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. We have some breaking news here. We're just seeing this break that apparently the court that stopped Trump's tariffs, that ruling has been put on hold while the appeal process continues. So they, stopped his tariffs for a few hours?
12.
Yeah, about 12.
Yeah.
12, and maybe they almost got a day in of stopping the tariffs, but they're back on, baby, or something to that effect. I can't pull off. I try to do the baby thing, and I can't pull that off.
It's all about the attitude.
Yeah, but Trump tariffs reinstated by appeals court for now. So we'll see. Let's go to Papa B. Hey, Papa B, how you doing?
Well, the very idea that the president can't be president. Oh, my gosh, he's trying to be president of all
I
things.
know, it's nuts.
We can't have that. No. Unbelievable. One after another. Just whatever it is that he's trying to do. Then you got some kind of little bebopping federal judge that thinks he knows how to run the country better.
Well, and if we're going to follow the Constitution, let's actually do it. And that means like getting rid of most of what the frickin' government does right now. But if not,
exactly.
Come on.
I know, right? Well, I've been listening to this Bitcoin conversations that you've been having over the last few days.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Joey, I mean, I don't really understand it all.
Sure.
But I understand this, that if you got a Bitcoin type of currency, well, they can't tell you, well, you can't act like this or we're going to shut your bank account down.
Right.
You got to say that and that way, or we're going to shut your ability to do business down. You know, I swear that alone
yep.
is worth it to me to say absolutely. Let glory, hallelujah. I mean, you remember the example of the truckers up in Canada.
Yep.
Came up.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. They can't buy their gas. They can't do this. They can't do that because the Canadian government has put the kibosh on it. This just says, no, Canada, you can't do that. And what did you say yesterday? The Chinese, they don't like that too much. So, yeah, if China doesn't like it, that means, well, I think I like that kind of thing. So,
it introduces some aspect of a private property right back into money. Not completely.
Exactly.
I mean, there's still other systems of control through the money system, the monetary system, but it does give some independence. Thank God for that.
Some autonomy. Yeah, you're right. We never should ever have allowed, a central bank to dictate to us so much about our freedom and what we can do. So, I mean, I'm really liking what I'm seeing there. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks a lot for letting me chime in. Enjoying the show as usual, bud.
Appreciate it, Bobby. Yeah, and as far as understanding it, I mean, there's different levels of understanding it, and I'm barely a few feet deep compared to the folks that are actually running these companies, running these systems. I kind of get it in general, like the theory of the idea, but like actually operating a mining, operation, I wouldn't know how to do that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, from what I understand about mining, I'm hoping that some of the budget set aside just for that.
So do you get the whole basics of like what a blockchain is?
Yeah,
and
I get that part of it.
Right.
I'm more concerned about the integrity of the system itself. Going back to my off the air question, I was familiar with there's only going to be a finite, number of coins.
Yes.
But I wasn't familiar with I'm just going to call it the, sliding decimal, that was fixed. I thought
that's also fixed. It's it's like a division of the same unit.
I thought that would be where they would be able to manipulate it and say, well, we're just going to add another decimal point and essentially turn it, into a fiat currency that way.
So like a blockchain is a decentralized ledger.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're normally sending money, it's like your bank is keeping track of Joey sent it to Byron and Byron sent it to so-and-so. And then those different ledgers that are centrally controlled and bureaucratically controlled have to settle every once in a while. The idea is, what if your ledger wouldn't be centrally controlled? In fact, it would be just on the network and distributed.
Mm-hmm.
And you created the right incentives to everybody running, say, nodes or running the network to where you're essentially going to cut out any cheating whatsoever. It's pretty fascinating stuff. And so, like,
I guess that's part of my problem, though, too. Not to interrupt. I don't know if we're going to be able to limit cheating so much as we haven't realized what kind of cheating is going to occur.
There have been so many attempts at exploiting and trying to break this thing over the last decade since this first came out. There have been many attempts to try to stop this. There's the 51% hash attack. So if you get the network runs on hash power. So, okay. So that ledger is built by blocks, a decentralized ledger. A block is just 10 minutes of transactions. So it's like these transactions go into that little block, and that's a block information. And to secure that, all the miners are trying to essentially guess a random number. And that random number, the difficulty can go up and down depending on how much computer power is running on the network. But whoever wins that lottery every 10 minutes as they're mining, guesses the right random number, they get the Bitcoin reward, or they get the BTC reward, the token on the Bitcoin network. And that can be, people can pool their resources, so they split that winning of guessing the right number, or you could do it on your lonesome. And right now the reward is about 3.25 Bitcoin.
Right.
And then in the next few years, that'll have like half be cut in half. So it'll be 1 Bitcoin or something like that. You also have people tipping the miners to get their transactions into a particular block in that 10 minutes. So there's also money being made that way. And so the idea is, okay, you secured that block, that 10 minutes transactions, and then you secure the next one and the next one, and you can kind of go back and check it. Now, if somebody completely ran all the hashing power on the network, which is, we're nowhere near it now. It was a worry early on. They could go back and do like fake transactions. They could mess with what the actual ledger says. At this point, you have so many, I think it's something like 20,000 different nodes and miners around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody tries to make that move, they'll immediately just get crushed by everybody else. It's like, what are you doing? And if somebody says, I'll come in and I'll just buy all the Bitcoin, you just make everybody who's already holding it even stronger.
But going back to the guessing the number part.
Yeah.
All right. So we're not fully quantum yet, but whenever they can go into a state of like hyper position and not have to guess, those people have an inherent advantage. They'll be able to monopolize the market.
Well, and this is, that's the doomsday scenario, not just for Bitcoin, but for all sorts of encryption. And for Bitcoin to be quantum proof, you would have to do something called a hard fork. So you would have to get consensus with all these miners, these 20,000 different people all over the place, would essentially have to agree, oh yeah, that's a problem. Here's the new encryption we'll adopt. And we can reform how some of the other older wallets that are holding some of these coins can. And again, you're getting to the limits of my understanding of this stuff. The point is, folks, how many of y'all use the internet every day? Do you understand how it actually works?
It's a connection of tubes, man.
Right. Well, heck, how many of y'all flip on the light switch? So to the average bear, to the vast majority of people, you don't need to understand how it works. What needs to be done is certain folks who are willing to take risk and build out systems that make it consumer friendly. They'll be the ones who understand that stuff. And you'll be able to necessarily benefit down the road. But I think it is in many ways, let's say, the future of finance. We'll see. I could be dead wrong. The thing is, if I'm dead wrong, I ain't going to lose that much money. The folks that have billions of dollars stake, now you're going to talk about one of the, if not the largest crack up in all human history, financial human history. So, we'll see. This week in particular with this conference going on, it's just been on top of mind. I won't belabor the point too much more, but
it is
fascinating time.
It is.
And just to see the political buy-in from JD Vance being there and the Trump brothers and Trump himself being all in on this. And like the guy who's, Cantor Fitzgerald is now giving Bitcoin backed loans.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who used to be their boss who founded that's Howard Lutnick, who's the Commerce Secretary. You also have like all these folks at big positions in the administration. Yeah, I think we're going in the right direction, at least politically. And that's the thing to watch. Watch for institutional adoption and watch for political adoption, and how hardened is that protection, these new rules that are put in place by the political system.
Well,
it's the one bipartisan thing that seems to be going on in DC right now.
Institutional reform, even if crypto's not adopted at breakneck speed, I think that's going to be a beautiful positive that comes from this.
Anyway, this part of the program brought to you by Dylan Rings. And if you're looking for a full service jewelry shop that can do it all, great inventory, great selection there, from high-end pieces to everyday jewelry that's beautiful, doesn't break the bank though. Or maybe you're looking for custom design work. Josh Ryder, he is second to none. That guy,
he's an artist.
He makes such beautiful things. And so it could be something fun. It could be something poignant. It could be you're popping the big question. You want a custom made engagement ring. Well, Josh Ryder can help you out there. But they can do things like spa treatments. So say you have a piece of jewelry you wear all day, every day. And it looks like you wear it all day, every day. You've been doing it for years. Well, what if that favorite piece of jewelry of yours could shine and shimmer like it's brand new again? That's what they do with a spa treatment.
Take it to Josh.
Of course, they can do watch repairs, battery replacements on watches. The point is, they do it all. They buy old jewelry, maybe you just have sitting in a drawer somewhere. They do it all. Stop by today, 119 Brown Springs Road, right here in Montgomery, just off of Atlanta Highway. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
This is Alice with Independent Glass. We advertise with Blue Water Broadcasting, and we get great results. If you want results like we get, you need to go with Blue Water.
Radio reaches over 90% of everyone in the river region. Shouldn't your ads be out there where your customers are? Call us to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Hey guys, this is Todd Clark with River Region Contracting, your premier roofing contractor in Central Alabama. So remember the name, River Region Contracting, for all your roofing needs. We're not affiliated with any other roofing company in the River Region. We've been in the roofing business since 2005. We don't have to buy our leads, and we don't have to knock on doors when the storms come around. We have thousands of satisfied customers throughout Central Alabama. So call us at 334-356-8635. That's 334-356-8635.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
I'm good. Working on payroll. How about y'all?
Oh, just getting to the tail end of the show here. Only one more day to go. I'm all screwed up having Monday off.
It has messed me up all week. Like, I got to close tonight, and I'm like, it's Wednesday. I don't close tonight. And they're like, no, it's Thursday. You close tonight, Ray.
Yeah, like Friday off doesn't mess with me that much, but a Monday off, I'm like, man, what day is it?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, Friday off, we're all excited. You got a long 3-day weekend. Monday just throws off the whole week. Absolutely throws the whole week off. But what we will do is make up for it on Saturday. So we're going to be open 9 to 2. Hey, who works this Saturday? Chad works Saturday. I can make him work late if y'all want me to.
Chad, you want to work to 5?
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're going to be, like, if it's not easy for you to get here but by 1 o'clock, call the store and say, hey, I heard Ray on the radio. He said you'll stay here till 5. Even if you're not coming, let's just do it to mess with him. What do you think?
That's just cruel, but sounds like fun.
Sounds like a great idea. But Chad will be here tomorrow on Saturday. Listen, I'm thinking tomorrow is Saturday already. My whole week is messed up. But if y'all need carpet, call us 285-8117. Plank, laminate, wood, anything at all dealing with flooring. Call us 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement.
Again, that number 285-8117, and be sure to tell them that you heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey Clark fella. Appreciate it, Ray.
Have a great day.
You too. So Byron is still here, as is Pamela. Hello, Pamela. How are you?
Well, only one of my channels is working in my headphones, so I'm about to switch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Eddie was dealing with that all day. I think he's already deaf in one ear.
That's every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you think it's for some like cool reason, like he was hunting a bear and somebody shot off like a big elephant gun next to him. I don't know why they used an elephant gun on a bear, but and some hunting.
These sound the same way. These sound the same way.
Yeah, but I think he just like fell asleep on his phone, like playing some YouTube video on repeat, and like he's now deaf in one ear. So anyway,
sounds like convenient old man issue to me.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So we did talk about Bitcoin a lot today, but it is tis the season.
Hopefully, some better understanding, at least on this end.
It's more trying to build thirst. It's like if you can study it and you can learn as much as you want about it, or you can ignore it. It's up to you. I
Jump
suppose.
both feet in.
We learned that court that said Trump can't do the tariffs has now been, that ruling's been put on hold while the appeals process goes on. So the tariffs are back on, baby. And the negotiations continue.
How long do you think it'll be before it gets to the Supreme?
Who knows?
Maybe 3 or
Weeks.
4 years.
No, I think weeks.
Oh, yeah, not years.
I think it's weeks.
Well, I mean, if there's a stay on it right now and the tariffs are in place, I'm cool with that.
Well, and we never got to Dan Bongino saying we have a video of Epstein alone in the jail. It was clearly like people are like on Fox and Friends, like morning wake up television news. Like, what, you also have a video of him hanging himself? No, not in the act.
Yeah.
But it's very clear from the video he was the only one in there.
I don't think he's dead.
You don't think he's dead?
No.
I think he's dead as a doornail, but
You can see the body on the gurney, like when they remove it, and it doesn't even look exactly like him. I know it's dead, but
okay. We can argue over who killed him, but
Byron, you know
No.
who you're talking to here, right?
conspiracy theorist number one.
he's hanging out with Tupac.
No. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think Tupac is necessarily dead either, but I don't think they're in the same place.
Okay. You're not hanging out having lattes together.
Oh, and we forgot to
Well, good for
mention.
Tupac. I don't want Tupac to be hanging out with Epstein.
No, I know.
Well, we forgot to mention earlier this week the passing of Harambe. The anniversary came and went.
I didn't.
Remember
I
the
didn't
gorilla
have it
was
written down
shot
on
at
mine.
that zoo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't have it marked down.
Me neither.
Sorry.
He actually now welcomes people when they go to the pearly gates. They gave St. Peter a break for a little while.
I feel like that's throwback to like the pizza place you go and play the arcade games. You know, they had that big gorilla that was on the stage.
Oh.
Where? Where is
It's a
that?
pizza place. You play the arcade games.
Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah, one of those things. But
Like an animatronic
Yeah,
thing?
one of
Oh,
those.
yeah. Those
Oh,
things are
creepy.
creepy.
I know.
They are creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
anyhow,
Primates
that-
freak me out.
really?
Yes.
Just in general?
Yes, all of them. Do you know how many different ways a monkey will kill you?
Yes, I don't want a monkey.
No.
The people who get monkeys as a pet, it's like you're not smart.
I know.
the only cool one was that orangutan that Clint Eastwood had in Every Which Way But Loose. Clyde.
They will kill you the fastest and most brutally just for fun.
Sure.
That dude would steal your beer. He wouldn't kill you.
No, they could rip your skull off
wait till
pretty
they have a
quickly.
bad day.
Cousin, but Clyde was cool.
Yeah, and they go for the private parts first too. They're aware of these things. They will maim you before they kill you.
Right.
So do humans.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, they do it just for sport. They're like,
Right.
hmm.
But what I want, I know it was AI, but remember that cute kangaroo that had it? He had a ticket. Did you not see this
No,
video? It's like two Australian women arguing at like entering into a plane, and it's just this kangaroo
I
standing there,
did.
and it's like he's got a ticket, he should be allowed in.
I did.
And obviously it's AI,
I
but
think
I'm like,
Eddie sent me a TikTok of it.
but I really want that kangaroo to be real. Like if we could get some like domesticated roos.
What happened to that meth smoking raccoon?
I don't know. I saw that video.
What did happen? Was that in Florida?
Ohio, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, things have gone downhill
Yeah,
since
Ohio.
manufacturing left. Anyway, on that depressing note, Greg Budell, happy hour. They're next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.